We're not making out. I promise you.
Yes, honey. Trust me, there was nothing going on before this video started.
What's up, everybody? Andrew here with the Medellin Buzz. Another live stream interview of an expat in Medellin. This is Chris. What's
Hello,
up, Chris?
Hello, everybody.
Let's check what the live stream looks like on the phone. Make sure we're not too dark. We could always put the light up, but let's see. We'll see it on the phone here.
Can I just turn it just a hair this
Yeah.
way?
Yeah, you're as long as you're close to it, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to KRP in Cincinnati.
What was that movie? Hello, Vietnam. What was it?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Hello, Vietnam. Hello, Vietnam. Okay. Oh, we are a little bit
We
dark. I'm gonna turn up
We
the
got two
light
olive
here.
skin, handsome men. Zombie farts are the worst. Nice.
That's the best.
That's a hell of a name.
That's the best name, bro. All right, there we go. The light is lighter. Yeah, it looks better. Yeah, it looks way better. Okay, all right, so we'll get started here. What's up, Zombie? What's up, 69 Way Better? Hope you're having a great day. Hope everyone's having a good day or an evening. It's 6:02 p.m. here in Medellin, Colombia. It is December 16th. My mom's birthday in 3 days. I got to remember that.
That was my mom's 80th birthday yesterday.
Wow, no way.
Yep.
And it's my my videographer's mom's birthday tomorrow.
Nice.
Everybody's mom's birthday's in December. Yeah, so welcome everybody. This is episode 11. If you're listening to the podcast, I do have a podcast now. All of these lives get turned into podcasts. So if you're on your way to work and you can't watch the video or whatever, you can always tune in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, it's on there. And also obviously on YouTube and YouTube Podcast. I didn't know that YouTube has a podcast platform now, and this show is on that as well.
You're using podcasts too much.
Podcasts everywhere, baby. I'm everywhere. I'm also live on Tinder. I'm live on OnlyFans. So anywhere you get your content, I'm there.
Nice. Nice.
What's
I
up,
promise I
Christopher?
won't drug you and take you outside.
Christopher Garcia, ¿cómo estás? Good day. It's a good day there. You're in Canada, Zombie. Zombie's in Canada, and it's a good day.
Gotta be
It's
cold.
got to be cold. I know because I was talking to someone, a student from the master class, and right now he is in, where the hell was he? Oh, in Rochester, New York. And there it was like below 50 already. I was like,
Screw that.
I hated to say it, but I'm like, oh man, it was like 80 degrees here today. 80 degrees and sunny the other day. Today it was overcast all day.
Dude, it was 87 in Envigado like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
What the is that? I can't cuss, right?
Doesn't matter. We don't have kids. We don't have kids listening. Chris Gant, how's it going? I try to keep it family friendly, but it happens. So guys, today we are interviewing Chris. We've been friends for what, like 12 years now or so?
Yep.
Basically since he got to the city. I was a year into the city, and I'll let you tell that story, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Chris Cajolas.
Closer.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
My name is Chris Cajolas, and I am from Bradenton, Florida.
Bradenton?
Bradenton.
Okay.
I moved to Brazil 15 years ago, stupidly, to be with a girl. It didn't work out. So some friends of mine had told me to come check out Medellin, Colombia. So I packed up my stuff and headed here. And when I got to Medellin, after traveling around Colombia, I fell in love with the city. I mean, the weather. I can't even. Everything. Everything was great except for the food. The food wasn't great. But
Yeah, 13 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago was not good.
but I mean, everything was wonderful. And you know, the funny thing is, that everybody's like, "Oh, you love the women," and I'm like, No, I just had broken up with a girl I moved to be with. The last thing I wanted was another woman. So for me, that was so far off of my radar. Wasn't anything. So I moved around back and forth from Medellin to Florida and finally pulled the trigger, 12 years ago-ish.
Wow. And I remember when I first met you, you had a business down here.
Oh yes. So I used to own a restaurant called the Flip Flop Sandwich Shop. Sorry, I got to take these off. That's how I ended up meeting everybody in town. There was no real. I hate to use this word, American food here, except for a restaurant called DeAndre's. And so I opened a little breakfast and lunch place, and I winged it. I didn't really know what I was doing. I had never owned a restaurant. I just liked cooking. So I winged it and had a lot of people come in just because I was the only option. Mm-hmm. What was cool, though, is I was the #1 restaurant on TripAdvisor for 6 straight months. And now there were only 287 restaurants at that time. But the best restaurant in town, Carmen, fancy schmancy place, I beat them for 6 months. And
wow.
People would walk into my restaurant, with their printed out paperwork and look at it and look down and look up and look down. I'm like, are you looking for the #1 restaurant in town? And they're like, yes, but this can't be it. And I'm like, I know how to market.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember going there. So a little tidbit. I mean, you probably knew this back then, but when you had that sandwich shop, it was expensive for me because I was broke.
Yep.
I was broke. It was literally in where Provenza is now, right? Like,
yeah. It's so funny. People are like, where? I'm like, Provenza now.
Yeah, Provenza now. So his restaurant was a pretty good-sized little sandwich shop restaurant. And for me, back then, you had the best fried chicken sandwich. That was like his #1 star. Yeah. And it was spicy, too.
Buffalo chicken
sandwich. I remember that. And for me, it was a treat. I would get it like once a month after playing basketball right there at that court.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just didn't have the money to be. It was like at that time, it was like what, like 15,000 pesos?
Yeah.
I remember the price, bro. That's how broke I was, bro. I remember the price. And that's how broke I was 12 years ago. And for me, 15,000 pesos was a lot of money because I was living like a Colombian. I'd been deported. I didn't have any money. And I was working as an English teacher, making like 2 million pesos a month or something like that. Or less sometimes if I didn't work enough hours. So 15,000 pesos, I was like, God damn it. That's so expensive. But now we obviously miss it. Now I'm vegan, so it doesn't matter. But now there's more options, though. There's, for example, there's a couple of other places that I heard have a pretty good buffalo chicken sandwich. Whereas
that's heresy.
12 years ago, there was nothing. You had zero competition.
I absolutely had zero competition. So I will never say my restaurant was good. I was just good at marketing. That was all.
I thought it was good. We thought it was good. I remember Joel. He used to love going in there and getting that chicken sandwich.
Because I gave him free food for taking pictures for me.
Oh,
dude,
true.
That is my favorite line from the other podcast when he was like, I was so broke, he had to pay me in food. I was like, that was awesome.
Yeah, you were definitely feeding him. Yeah, so 12 years ago, Medellin was way different than what it is today. These 12 years have basically changed the city completely. And you, as someone that had been to Brazil before, how long did you live in Brazil before you got to Medellin?
I was in Brazil for 4.5, 5 months, something like that.
Okay.
And loved it.
Yeah. What part of Brazil?
Sao Paulo.
Paulo.
Well, that's where I lived. And then when we broke up, I hit Rio. I worked my way up the northern coast, or the northeast coast. And then finally I was like, all right, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't speak the language.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, Portuguese seems like a tough. I mean, I don't know how to speak it, but it sounds similar to Spanish, but it's definitely harder to speak. So you were in Sao Paulo, and then you got to Medellin in 2011 or 2012?
I don't remember. I mean,
I think it was 2011. Yeah,
I think it was 11.
It was 2011.
That was the first time.
And right away, did you start your sandwich shop?
No,
Which he doesn't own the sandwich shop now.
No, so that was 14 years ago when I first got here, and I just traveled around the city. I stayed in the Black Sheep in Patio Bonito.
That was the first place I stayed in Medellin.
Oh yeah, dude, I was there for 3 straight months.
I couldn't do, bro. I'm not a backpacker, and I did not like living in. So I came from Bogota to Medellin, and me and my friend we stayed at the Black Sheep Hostel,
Yep.
and I couldn't do more than 2 weeks. I'm like, we need to find an apartment, bro.
Well, honestly, back then though, I didn't know. I didn't know that was possible.
Right.
You know, I didn't know. I thought when you're traveling around, you stay in hostels if you want to save money. If you don't want to save money, you stay in hotels.
Right.
But, dude, I mean, what an experience, especially because for me, I was older. I think I was 38,
How old are you now?
53.
You're 53.
Yep.
Holy crap! We were just talking about the concept of time before we started. Like we don't have a concept of time anymore. Living in Medellin, it's like even if you're working, for example, I work. I have a couple businesses. I have a routine every single day. My life
sorry.
doesn't. Yeah, but like I was telling someone, AK, I was telling him I basically live the retired life. Like for example, like my Sunday is the same as my Monday or Tuesday. The only difference on Sunday is ciclovia, but every day is basically the same. I will go to the sports bar, watch sports, whatever, go to the gym. I have like zero stress in life. Would you
Correct.
say that's kind of accurate here in Medellin?
Dude, my biggest decision every day is what am I going to have for lunch? and right now it's great because I'm a big football fan, meaning soccer. And so Tuesday and Wednesday, Champions League. Thursday, Europa League. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Premier League.
Wow.
I'm like, I got all my time filled.
that's
Between
your
that
agenda.
and smoking cigars, I'm all right.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's go back to 2011, 2012 when you opened up your shop, and Medellin was still I guess untapped, really.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, my claim to fame was there were 7 hostels within a 5-minute walk of my restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I think there's 160.
Yeah, imagine 7 hostels in like the Provenza area back in or Parque Lleras area back in 2011 to over 160 hostels today in 2023. That's a giant leap. That's a leap. That's not a jump. That's a giant leap. Christopher Garcia, what's up? Oh, sorry, I missed your message there. What's up, Chris Gant? ABX girl, how you doing? Hope you're having a good day, ABX. So what has been your experience?
Nice, Michael.
What did Michael say?
He fires up a stick. I'm assuming you mean a cigar.
Is that what you guys call them in the
Yeah.
cigar world? Is firing
stick.
up a stick? Oh,
Yes.
wow. You know, I had a boss that smoked cigars, and he would take me to the Vietnamese tea shops in Southern California. You
The
know,
one where the girls are in
or
bikinis?
yeah. I had no idea that existed. I didn't know what that was.
I didn't either. People would be like, you should open up like a
Bikini bar or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I was like, this was back in 2000 and 2010 or 2009 when I worked for this guy. He was like very rich. He was an attorney, a real estate attorney, and he took me my first time to like this Vietnamese tea shop, and I was
Right.
like, a tea shop.
Why are we going there?
Do they have beer? And he's like, no, they don't drink beer there. They just smoke. We smoke our cigars and we drink tea. I'm like, I'm not 50 years old. I was like 22 at the time, or 25. And he's like, no, you're gonna like it. And then when we got there, I liked it. I was like, okay, now I get it.
I think I would like it too if I ever found one. But yeah, people were like, why don't you do that here? And this was back when I had my restaurant. I'm like, I'm not gonna have some crazed boyfriend or pimp show up at my door and be like,
yeah,
why is she working here?
Why is she in a bikini?
Be like, excuse me, sir, here's my business license.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The climate. So let's talk about the changes in your experience to Medellin. Apart from obviously tourism, what have you, I guess, seen change over the last 12 years here?
Man, everything has changed. I mean, but the biggest things are, I mean, I guess for us is prices, the amount of construction just skyrocketed. I mean, those kinds of growth, I guess, is the best word to use. Because, I mean, I remember back in the day, so like the house next to my restaurant, dude, I mean, it was falling down. But I still think back then when it was 1.86 to $1 exchange rate. The house next door to me was selling for the equivalent of $213. But dude, it was massive.
213,000.
Yeah, $213,000. Now, that's got to be pushing $1 million. But everything is just skyrocketed. I mean, I wanted to buy an apartment way back when, thinking about having it. But I was like, it's a little expensive. But now, I mean, I'm already priced out again because I didn't buy anything because you couldn't rent it out and get really any money for it. And then there was like a 1 to 2 year span where all of a sudden you could start. I realize you can't see my hands. Where you started to be able to rent stuff and actually make like 10% on your money.
Right.
And, I completely missed it. And now it's gone.
You mentioned that back then, well, I guess the prices have skyrocketed, and you mentioned construction, and that's something that when you come down to the city, it's evident. There's construction pretty much in all neighborhoods, really. It's not even just El Poblado, it's everywhere now. Yeah. And I was reading stats. I was like, okay, what are the biggest money makers in Medellin? And construction's number one. Like Argos,
really?
the company Argos, they're like the ones that push the most. And they're like on the stock exchange here in Colombia, they're like one of the number one companies on that stock exchange. And construction is basically responsible for a lot of the money that is moved in Colombia, which makes sense. Well, particularly in Medellin, it makes sense because there's construction all over the place. And you mentioned prices rising, and to be honest, I think they're going to continue to go up.
Oh, well, look, I was in the mortgage industry and from like 2001 to 2009. So I got to see
the crash.
Yeah. And, I still see people, the bubble's going to break, blah, 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 all this undereducated opinions of here. Dude, I don't want to say there's no stopping it, but what's to stop it from continuing to grow? There's no appraisals. So you don't go, oh no, this is valued at this. Whatever the owner says it's worth is what he's going to sell it for, he or she, excuse me. There's no bank loans or very few bank loans. If so, maybe 20, 30, 40% max. So there's no faking it like we did back in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's an awesome point, because I got a lot of people that tell, or not even since back then, since like 2015 when things started to go up, like prices in El Poblado started to go up, people started to talk about, Poblado is a bubble. I'm like, do you know what a bubble is? Right. A bubble is created through financing, through the easy access of financing, through basically back in 2005 when you could just fart on an application and say that you make a bunch of money and get a $300,000 loan for a property, and then the rates adjusted in 2007, which caused the crash. The secondary mortgage market crashed first. In Medellin and Colombia as a whole, there is no bubble because there is no easy access to financing. No. On top of that, there's no, like you were saying, there's no appraisals. And since I was reading another stat, 90% of the properties that are owned in Colombia have 90% have no mortgage on them. So 90% of the properties are owned outright by the owner. Right. That's why they can sit on the market for a year, 2 years, 3 years until they get the price that they want.
In the building behind my building, we went and looked at an apartment that hadn't been, touched, and they wanted 535,000 pesos. But this was when it was like 5-1. So what was that?
So it was like $100,000?
115. So I wanted it, but dude, you would have had to have dropped in another 20, 30 grand to make it more livable.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do it. But like after they sold it, another apartment came available. Yeah. Same building, same floor, but now this one has 2 really nice patios.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll spend the money on that. I was willing to cough it up. So we called.
Yeah.
Their asking price was 760 million pesos. And now this is when it was, dropping back down.
That's
say
like 4-1?
420.
Yeah.
But, you're just like, what? And I was like, you just sold one for 560 or no, 530.
Yeah.
How do you justify 760? It didn't even respond.
Yeah, they don't need to.
No,
they don't
exactly.
need to justify
They don't need to
it.
because
That's the price that they're going to sell it for. If it stays on the
Eventually.
market for a year or two and they get that price, then that's what it is. So that's why when people say that Medellin is a bubble or El Poblado is a bubble, they really don't know about real estate. And second, it's going to continue to grow.
Yes.
It's going to continue to go up. Prices are going to continue to go up. Tourism will continue to go up unless something terrible happens. But
I always say when people are, talking about tourism growth and pricing, that it'll stop. And I'm like, we're maybe 3 bombings away from
3 bombings.
3 bombings away from having it slow down.
Come on, bombings. Wow. We're going to get banned. All right.
Since you've lived here, how long have you lived in
this apartment?
in this area?
In this area, like 7 years, 8 years. Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago, I was living right past the light bridge, Calle dos Sur.
Oh, yeah.
And I sat up one night because I heard a boom. And I was like, that was a bomb. And my wife's like, that wasn't a bomb. I'm like, honey, that was a bomb. So I posted on Facebook. I was like, did anybody hear the bomb? And like 10 minutes later, my buddy, he was like, it was a bomb. Everybody was like, no bomb, no bomb. And they had tried to bomb the Mercedes and Porsche dealer that is just right here on Avenue. Well, they didn't try, they did, but it wasn't big. It was a little bomb. But I heard that shit in Itagüí.
I remember that. I thought it was a transformer. Because that happens a lot. Like a transformer will
All
just
the
go out
time.
and it sounds like a bomb. And like, and when I hear like, that's not gunshots, that's fireworks. So yeah, I remember when that happened.
But
yeah.
I was like, oh my God. So yeah, 3 more of those.
And we'll
slow back down.
Slow back down. Prices will go down. No, yeah, but in all seriousness, the value of property is definitely going to go up, and it's because tourism pushes a lot of that. But on top of that, we're going through global inflation, really, and Colombia is definitely has gone through its inflation since COVID. Yeah, it's still going. Like next year, they're talking about increasing IVA and taxes again. And obviously the minimum wage is going to be increased as well next year. So everything is going to get more expensive. We just have to figure out how to make more money.
For sure. Everybody tip. Everybody tip.
Everybody tip.
Sorry.
Yeah. So tell us, Chris, what do you do now? Tell us about your business and what you do now.
So now, after 2 or 3 years of doing nothing, after I sold my restaurant, I came across the national sport of the country, which is a game called Tejo. And I don't know if you can see
the tattoo.
Whatever. Anyway, never mind.
It looks like an anchor. Oh, it's a guy.
No, it's a guy, but I don't know how to show it. Anyway, so Tejo's the national sport of the country, and I happen to be the only gringo. I'm actually the only non-Latin American that competes in the sport in the world. That and $1 can buy me a cup of coffee. But it's fun. So I travel the country competing in the sport. But when I'm not traveling playing, I run Tejo in Medellin tour, and I teach foreigners how to play. It's something that I love. And oddly enough, I'm like a traditionalist of the game. So, some people are like, man, the dude's pretty aggressive about teaching, but I like to do it right. But it's something that I love. I love teaching, and it's kind of my way also to, I don't want to say give back to Colombia, because that's not exactly the way I look at it, but a lot of people do different things to give back, and my kind of deal is I try and help the national sport of the country grow, and I've been successful at it for a while. But
yeah. Can you explain what that sport is? It's called Tejo, for those of you guys that don't know. What is it? Can you explain it to us?
Yes. So Tejo, I should have brought it. So Tejo is the name of the game, and you throw a metal disc, kind of like if you guys have played cornhole. Think cornhole on steroids. You throw a metal disc that weighs anywhere from 1/4 of a pound up to 3.4 pounds. You throw it varying distances, and you throw it into a clay pit. And inside the clay pit is it's a car spring, and there's explosive packages around the edge of the circle. And when you throw, you try and land in the circle while blowing up the explosive packages. And there's a professional league in Colombia, and there's a federation in the country, and I play in the league and for the federation.
Interesting. Yeah. I've played it a few times.
Yeah.
I've played it a few times. It's absolutely fun. To me, I'd rather do that than bowling, to be honest. Like, I'm not a big fan of bowling. We used to do it with our friends. We'd get together and go bowling, but Tejo is much more fun. And it really feels like a sport because you're actually throwing something at something, right? And how far are you from the actual clay pit from where you throw it?
Well, when I play in the league, you throw it's roughly, I let it go at 53 feet. So I throw a 3-pound weight, 53 feet, and try and land it inside of a circle that's, it's 11 centimeters wide on the inside. I don't know.
Yeah. That's
sorry, I'm from the U.S. I don't know centimeters to inches.
Yeah, it's a tough sport. It's actually not easy. Like you would think, oh, that's pretty easy. I've played cornhole, but no, because this thing is heavy. On top of that, it's far. Right. And second, you have to like literally try to aim for that middle part to score the most points. What's up, CBL Daddy? What's up, Squishy Plums? What's up, Eamon? Eamon from Cuba. Anon Mon says, I had a chance to buy into a Cali hotel about 9 years ago and didn't pull the trigger. Not sure how Cali has changed as compared to Medellin. I think Cali has gone through some changes, but it's nowhere near where Medellin is at right now. But it could be. They just need to get better at coordinating that city, really.
Well, I mean, I will say I was just in Cali a few months ago. I went to a Corinthians game there. But there are now some areas that are nicer, kind of like La Buena Mesa and Vigado. Okay. There's like 3 of them. And those areas are nice, but still, Cali es caliente y caliente.
Caliente, that means it's dangerous.
Right. You still don't get that feeling of walking around like you're like, I feel better than I did, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way even after living here for that long. I still feel like, oh God, do I really want to go walk around the corner to the tienda?
Right. Yeah. I haven't been. I've been to Cali a few times. I love going to Cali, by the way. I love going during the end of December. They have like a big feria. Yeah. And it's super fun. The people are awesome. The food, I think, is better in Cali than Medellin, like the traditional food. Yeah. They have better seasoning and stuff. I don't know. They have more of a Pacific...
food everywhere is better than Medellin.
Yeah, Medellin is more... It's like Medellin food, like the traditional Colombian food. It is basically like comfort food for people that work in the mountains, basically. Right. That's what it is. Rice, beans, and a piece of meat, basically. and some salt if you're lucky.
Right.
Let's see. Eamon says... Hey guys, have you felt any pushback on gentrification lately?
I have.
What have you experienced?
Well, you probably didn't see it because I had a 15-minute interview, a live interview on RCN. And dude, I was amazed at people writing, in Spanish, a gringo's gentrifying our sport. Or, just, things like that. Of course, a gringo would come in and try and make money off of our thing or, whatever. And I'm like, dude, if you did it, you wouldn't need me. I was the first person to video the games live on Facebook. And now finally other people do it. So there's no need for me to do it anymore. But I'm like, if it hadn't have been for me for the first 5 years or 6 years, not a single soul would have been looking at these games. You're in the coast and you're watching a game in Fusugasuga. But, so I got people during this interview writing stuff like, the gringos gentrifying our sport. And I'm like, F off.
Yeah, it's, I hear comments all the time. There's definitely comments. They're baseless comments. and baseless meaning that it's usually uneducated people that don't even know what the word gentrification means. I mean, literally just open up a dictionary and you'll realize that that's not what's happening in Colombia, in Medellin particularly. I mean, there is some validity to prices going up because of tourism for sure. And those areas that are affected are the small pockets of El Poblado, which are where the hotels, the hostels. If you're going to buy a property in Provenza, you're going to be paying through the roof. Yeah, right. That's.
Or if you rent it.
Or if you're going to come here and you're going to rent a property off Airbnb in Provenza, you're going to be paying thousands of dollars a month in those because they're really nice. They're right in the hub of all the tourism and nightlife, etc. But locals, they don't live in that area. Locals have never been able. Most locals have not been able to afford to live in that area since it was created because it's the Beverly Hills of Medellin. Most people, everybody that lives in El Poblado are, Estrato 5 or Estrato 6. These are people that make good money, whereas probably 90% of the city can't live there, right? They can't live there because they don't make enough. It's too expensive, and that's the way it's been, at least since I've lived here for 13 years.
Me too.
I couldn't live in El Poblado when I first got here. I didn't live in El Poblado until 7 years ago.
My first apartment was in Poblado. My second one, like I was saying earlier, we moved to this horrible area that was infested with drug dealers.
Where?
Literally on Calle del Sur, with a bridge that lights up.
Yeah.
I mean, literally 1 block away, there were guys selling.
That's called Cristo Rey, right? I think that neighborhood is Cristo Rey, or no?
I don't remember now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, it was also the same. 4 a.m., somebody's got their car parked outside in the front, playing music really loud, and just, it was horrible. And then we moved back to Poblado. But after that, nope. Lived in Sabaneta for 7 solid years, Envigado for the last 2 or 3. I would never come here and live. Never.
I actually love living in El Poblado, but I get it because
it's because I'm cheap.
No, well, not only that, but a lot of like the foreigners that don't like living in El Poblado is number one usually is because of price.
Yep.
So but the crutch or the excuse is that, no, I don't want to be around other gringos. And I get that. If you're leaving your country because you don't want to be there, you don't want to come to a place where you see your countrymen all over the place. Me, I'm a little bit differently. I was kicked out of I didn't want to leave the U.S. I love my little piece of America, going to the sports bar and watching, for example, UFC tonight.
Right.
If I lived in Envigado, would I be able to do that? No, there is no sports bar in Envigado showing a UFC.
Barrio Sur Cafe Bar will be showing the.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay.
But
so I'm wrong.
You wouldn't have the sound. Just FYI.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd be taking an Uber to Iway or Patrick's or whatever. and on top of that, it's not just watching it. It's literally being around other people that watch it and are cheering and talking about it. Like, for example, Monday Night Football or Sundays for football, or even, for soccer games for you. Barrio Sur must be awesome. I heard that there's like a little Liverpool. You're a Liverpool fan, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
there's like a Liverpool group that goes and watches.
Yep. So tomorrow morning, well, not tomorrow morning, but tomorrow at 12:30, Liverpool, Manchester United.
Ooh.
Baby.
Yeah. So if you guys come down here, you got something to do. Those are fun to go to. I'm a Chelsea fan, but I love Liverpool now because of Luis Diaz.
See, I'm not even that big of a fan of Luis Diaz, but it's hard because everybody else in the group is. So I just have to.
You have to. You don't. How can you not like Luis Diaz? He's so good.
Because he doesn't score that much. He works his ass off. I give him that.
Yeah.
But I prefer another guy on the team.
Who?
Diego Jota.
Diego Jota.
But what's really funny, just as a Chelsea fan, dude. So at the bar, there's this little old lady. She's got to be in her mid-60s probably. She's obviously Colombian, but she's a Chelsea fan.
Okay.
And she's an England fan as well. One of her daughters is living somewhere in England. And so she comes every game that is on. She brings a little Chelsea flag and puts it out on the table like it's her tablecloth and drinks beer by herself and watches the game.
That's awesome.
It's really funny, though, because a lot of the foreigners that come don't speak a word of Spanish or very, hola, ¿cómo estás? So she'll try and talk to them, and you'll see them, like, looking around for somebody to be like, help. But she's the coolest little old lady. Sorry.
Ayman de Cuba says, I'm Dutch from Aruba. Oh, nice. Dutch from Aruba. How did I miss that? Oh, there we go. I'm Dutch from Aruba. Yeah. Oh, what about the fruta? The fruta, yeah, the fruit. There's fruit everywhere.
Fruit's awesome.
Yeah. Cali has fish soup. Has great fish soup. Yeah. Yeah, their food is good there. Yeah. Let's see. This is a good question right here.
Yeah.
George says, Chris, would you mind sharing your monthly expenses now that you mentioned that you're living a frugal life?
Sure. So George, I'm married to a Colombian that has a good job, so we split our bills. So for rent, electricity, and cable, I pay my half of $1.4 million, which is
in dollars. Let's just do it right now. What is it at today?
Something like 3.9.
We'll do it right now.
But here. But George, so 1.4 million is my
0.4 million. $350.
So I spend on my part $350 right now for my part of rent, my part of utilities, and my part of cable. My cell phone is 70, let's call it 80 mil a month, which is $20. I eat out a lot. I love cooking, but my wife, my wife, for whatever reason, doesn't like eating what I like. So she does her own thing. So I eat out a lot. That's my biggest expense is eating out. I have no way to tell you that though,
because what the number would be?
Yeah, because dude, again, I mean, it bothers me how much some things have gone up. Like going to like Barrio Burger, which is one of my most favorite burgers in town. But dude, it's pushing 40 mil for a burger. Now I know that everybody will say, oh, $10 for a burger, no big deal. Well, considering that, 3 years ago, that's unheard of. So, I found a burger place that's a 200-gram burger for 15.
Wow, so, 15,000 pesos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just eat there now.
Like $7?
Yeah. So, and I know that it sounds stupid, but I have money in the U.S. and I earn pesos on my tour. So I try to live as frugally as possible to extend my time here. And maybe drop in another $200-300, $200 for food, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't even think that's probably too much, but let's just call it $200 for food. Now, I will say I have a motorcycle, so I don't have to pay for transportation like a lot of people that use huge. Uber or taxis. But and I travel the country on my motorcycle. So if I'm got a tournament in a town called Bucaramanga, it might cost 350, 400 mil to fly there, so $100. I can get there for $12, maybe 15, and then get back for another 15. So I stay in cheap hotels. I just don't live the baller lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you're not compromising comfort. You're not compromising your happiness.
Right.
That's the most important part. If you can definitely live like that here in Colombia and still have a high quality of life.
For sure.
So I would say that it sounds like you probably spend around $700, maybe pushing it $800 a month on everything. Being Chris.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Wow.
My cigars sometimes get to be a little on the pricier side, but even with that though, I don't like. There's a new cigar bar that just opened in town, but I don't go hang out there with these guys. They think it's perfectly great to spend $10, $15, $20, $25 on a cigar. When I was in the U.S., yeah, because I was earning a lot of money. Now I'm not earning a lot of money, so I smoke $1.50 cigars.
No. Yeah, but as long as it doesn't, like I said, compromise your happiness and
Correct.
really what you like to do, then there's no problem with that.
Right.
I think a lot of people come down here and since they have dollars, they try to live that baller lifestyle.
Yeah.
Victor asks, Warren Kenner says, Bandeja Paisa is like $3 or $4 according to Google. Depends on where you go. Three or
Yeah.
$4 is pretty cheap.
The last one I had near my house is 25 mil.
25 mil, yeah, it's like
$5-6
$6 or so. Yeah, it depends on this yeah, it's raining. It's gonna rain. It depends on where you get it. For example, if you go to Hacienda in Buena Mesa here, you're gonna be spending like 35 to 40,000 pesos on a
Right.
bandeja paisa. So it just depends on where you get it. But yeah, you could get a lot of cheap food here. Victor Rand says, Chris, what do you think about the security situation in Medellin? So many murders and all that.
That's a good question, Victor. Victor, I used to be a self-defense instructor. So look at that. Wow, lightning. So I look at security very differently, I think, than most people do because, it was kind of ingrained in me teaching it. Honestly, man, look, your safety level here is not solely, but pretty much based on your habits. That I've been here, lived here 12 years. I've been in one fight, and that wasn't crime related. I was trying to protect an idiot. But and that wasn't even recently. That was 14 years ago. But I've never, knock on wood, I've never been robbed. I've never, been scammed. I've never, I've had a lot of people ask me for money, but as far as security goes, dude, I think if you just be a normal person, it's just like living anywhere else. If you come down and you want to try and meet girls online or go to places that maybe you shouldn't be going to, yeah, then your danger level steps up. But as far as people getting murdered, I mean, I will say again, we've been here.
I've been murdered 8 times.
Right, right. I get murdered every 6 months. But I mean, it's just not. It's typically, because you were doing something stupid, and I'm not victim blaming.
Yeah, it's funny that you say you're doing something stupid, but a lot of the time these people don't realize that that they're doing something stupid.
Correct. But even with that, somebody asked me the other day, like they were talking about passport bros. And, I was like, please don't come. But if you're going to come, please pay attention to all the advice that's given on every single page so that you don't fall into that category. And so I just feel like that people who get involved in that, it's like they just think, like when you're 20, you're bulletproof. It's not going to happen to me. Well, no, it's not going to happen to me. I'm married. I don't go out.
Yeah.
If it happens to me, oh my.
Yeah, and I'm not married. Well, I'm not married yet, but I am. I got my girlfriend, but before that, when I've been single for many years here, and I go out and do stuff, meet locals, go to parties, etc. Never had a problem either. The people that are you'll notice that the common denominator in these people that are getting murdered down here, or through a drug overdose or a stabbing. Number one, it involves a woman, and usually a woman off of Tinder or like a prostitute off the street, something like that. And then another reason why people would get killed here is resisting a crime, resisting a theft, right? Like an armed robbery. You don't resist here. Life is pretty worthless here. So they'll kill someone in a heartbeat because they're not going to do more than 15 years maybe in prison,
if that.
If that. So resisting is not the answer.
I have a friend, when I got my scooter, so I had a scooter stolen several years ago, but I got it back. Within an hour and a half, the police in Bejo said, we got your scooter. They caught the guy. But like 2 weeks after that, a friend of mine was driving his motorcycle, Colombian guy, and 2 guys wanted to steal it. So they got him off. He wasn't even resisting, but they still stabbed him through the rib cage and missed his heart by 2 millimeters or centimeters, whatever. But if a taxi hadn't, the one that was behind him, if it hadn't have taken him to the hospital, he would have died. But the guys who stabbed him did not even spend 24 hours in jail.
Wow.
And I relate this. I know you know this, you guys wouldn't, but so remember Columbia Jake?
Yeah.
So Columbia Jake, for y'all who don't know, this guy was here and he had basically like a sex tour. And the caveat was that you had to rent a room in his apartment. So that
And he was subletting these apartments, I remember too.
right. So you had to stay with him, and then he would charge people money to go down to the brothels. But he changed his business model a little bit, and he got stung by trafficking of a minor. Now, he immediately got arrested and immediately went to jail. That's exactly what should happen. But for me, trafficking of a minor and attempted murder are the same. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not, I always feel bad when I say that, but I mean, to me, they're both horrendous crimes. And yet he gets off to jail. Great. I'm glad. But then these two guys
Nothing
don't even
happened.
spend 24 hours in jail. It just blows my mind. So people need to understand that, there's not a lot of consequence for what happens here.
Right. Yeah. Squishy Plums. What's up, Squishy Plums? Squishy Plums, thank you for the $5 donation. How is Medellin fish? I had very good Colombian mojarra fish in Miami. Well, Miami's next to the ocean. Medellin is not next to the ocean. So that'll give you that answer. But that being said, the quality has increased because there's more demand. There was like only one sushi restaurant back like 12 years ago. Now there's many, and there's a couple good ones. And on top of that, you can find fresher fish. But yeah, it's going to be frozen from the coast, basically. So
Right.
it's there are trout farms, so you can get fresh trout here. But that's pretty much it. So don't come with like high expectations.
Yeah, and the Rovolo here, which is snook, but
Snook,
it's
yeah.
usually basa. But even that, it still tastes good.
Yeah, my favorite when I used to eat was Sierra.
Sierra?
The big long one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so good, so good.
Hang on. George.
George.
Yes, thank you for that comment about Sergio Ramos. I wish Mo had punched him in the face.
Zombie says, I live in a small town, 7K people. I'm assuming we have almost the same crime stats as Medellin. Oh, in the U.S. Safe to say it's safer there. Yeah, I mean, like Chris was saying, it's safer here if you are a safe person. If you're not doing shit that you shouldn't be doing. For example,
Walking around at 2 a.m.
Walking around drunk at 2 a.m. with your iPhone. You're probably going to get pickpocketed. Walking around drunk at 2 a.m. or any time with your $30,000 Rolex. That's not a safe thing to do. So it's as safe as you make it safe. Hey, CBL Daddy, thank you so much for the $2 dono. How much does Chris pay for healthcare?
So I have what's called Plan Complementario. So we have EPS, which is like a basic level. Sorry, you never can see my
Public
hand.
healthcare.
Public healthcare.
Yeah.
And so every 6 months I pay 900 mil.
900 mil?
Yeah,
Let's
so
go.
200.
900 mil right now at today's exchange rate.
$230.
$225, yeah.
$225 every 6 months. And frequently, you don't even really have a copay. Now, I will tell you, I don't use it very often anymore, but it's really not that bad.
Yeah, that's great. Let's see. Warren Kenner says, I think we're reacting to the stories, and I'm in the same boat. I've been watching the local news and certain Twitter accounts. It's hard not to feel intimidated unless you're stupid. Yeah. I mean, and again, stupid is a harsh word for a lot of people because, they're coming down here as tourists. They probably seen YouTube videos, social media of guys out here with girls, and they think that that's natural. Like girls coming up to you. Like, for example, if you walk up Calle 10 to Provenza, you're going to be hit on by a dozen women, and they're going to be young, and they are all working girls, and that's not a natural occurrence. That's them wanting to game you, right? They want to pull their trick, right? So these guys that see on social media, they're like, oh, all women love gringos out here, but that's not how regular Colombian women act towards anybody.
Good God, no.
Yeah, so it's not stupid. It's just being unaware, uneducated to an extent, and also a lot of the times thinking with the wrong head, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I always say you need to know the rules of the playground in which you were playing in, and it just seems like people just don't want to pay attention to the rules.
yeah, yeah, true. Is it Squishy Plum asks, is it safe for me to walk around Medellin with gold teeth?
Yes.
I've never really seen anybody with gold teeth. Like,
I've
what?
seen
All
a
your
couple
teeth
of
are gold?
grills.
Oh, like a grill?
I would guess.
I would
I
yeah.
can't imagine. I can't imagine somebody.
Why do you have gold teeth?
Give me your grill.
Hey, I wouldn't put it past the Colombian thief.
Dame tu parilla.
Yeah.
What? That would be awesome.
Yeah. That could be a lot of papaya, though. Like, because if you have gold teeth, you probably have gold watch, gold necklace, $300 Jordans. Am I describing it correctly? I don't know.
Do you wear jewelry?
No, I'm not a jewelry guy. Yeah.
Me either. I never.
You got your wedding ring and that's
Dude,
it.
people laugh. My wedding ring cost $4. It's sterling silver and it's broken. It's.
Dang.
I was sitting in a chair.
If I were a robber, I'd give you money. I'd be like, you go buy yourself a real ring.
My wife is always like, honey, why don't we buy you a different ring? I'm like, because if it's stolen, it
doesn't matter.
$4. It was literally at that time like 18 mil.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're safe with the gold grill as long as you're not, giving too much papaya. Monica Thompson, hope you're having a great day. Can you recommend a good sushi restaurant? What's that one called? At the Marriott. There's one at the Marriott called. I'll look it up.
What's the one at the where the Starbucks is? The Sushi Mundo? No.
Sushi World or something like that.
Something.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. Again, I'm vegan. I don't eat sushi, but I do remember that the best sushi that I had when 4 years ago, and it still exists, is at the Marriott. If you look up the Marriott Hotel in Medellin, on the first floor they have a sushi restaurant, and that one was the best and the priciest one too.
I will say the best place I've eaten at is a place called Sushi Fun in Envigado. Actually has the best roll I think I've ever had. Was the second best roll I've ever had in my life. It's called the Nagasaki roll. But I mean, for me, it was the second best roll I've ever had. But I don't go back because they screwed with me. So,
Anand says, honestly, it's extremely unsafe if you're out partying. No, I wouldn't say extremely.
yeah, I wouldn't either.
It's not extremely unsafe. It's extremely unsafe if you are partying with hookers and doing blow. Like, yeah, okay, that's extremely unsafe.
Well, I would say too, like if you don't know who you're with.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you are out by yourself, then you definitely become more of a mark. But again, I mean, everything depends on you. If you think that this is a good idea, that's on you. But you should know that if you're again, just using gringos as an example, if you're the only gringo in a bar of 50 people, maybe it's not the best thing unless you're with a group of people that you know.
Yeah, and going out for Colombians, they never go out alone. Like, for example, like a dive bar scene doesn't exist in Medellin because people are very social. They go out in groups. They go out with their friends and family. So going out alone is not very common.
No.
But if you do go out alone, I go to the bar all the time alone. Like, for example, tonight, UFC. I'm just going to go walk up there, watch it, and have a couple beers, probably make new friends. I make friends almost every time I go there. But yeah, so it can be extremely dangerous if you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. But it's not extremely safe, unsafe if you're, you got your wits about you. Darwin, what's up, Darwin? Darwin the Destroyer says, I'm here now thinking about coming out there for the upcoming holidays. For December, you mean for what? Christmas and New Year's? Christmas and New Year's is fun, again, if you have friends and family here, because that's what they do here. If you don't have friends and family here, it's extremely boring because there's nothing to do.
It seems like, though, just from every year, obviously things change a little by little by little. But I seem to be seeing more people saying that there is more going on. But, I mean, obviously I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So like last year, I didn't have family or friends. I wasn't going out with I didn't have a girlfriend last year during the holidays. Usually when I have girlfriends during the holidays, I go to their family stuff. We do family things, which are super fun. It's way different than in the States. Actual dancing, cooking, etc.
Right.
It's really fun. But last year I didn't, so I went with a few friends to Provenza, and that went off for New Year's. It was like they had a party till like 4 a.m, live music, drinks on the street, everyone sitting on the street. It was actually really fun. That was the first time I experienced that in Medellin, so I'm sure this year will be the same in Provenza. So if you don't know anybody, go to Provenza for New Year's. T-Mac, what's up, T-Mac? How's it going? T-Mac's part of the Medellin Masterclass. Hope you're having a great day or great evening. T-Mac says that he stayed at the Marriott when he first came to Medellin. He had to leave the hotel due to roach infestation. I have photos. It was bad. Oh, man. So maybe
That's
that
weird.
sushi restaurant isn't that great anymore. I was talking about 4 years ago. It was good. I don't know. I've never stayed at the Marriott. But that's good insight. Hopefully they fix that. Michael Sands, what's up? Michael Sands is a new Medellin Masterclass student. Hope you're having a great day, Michael, or evening. Chris, what sorts of things did you factor in when leaving your job in Florida to become a retiree?
Oof. The only thing I took into consideration, honestly, was money. I mean, that was it, because I had spent some time here and I just knew that I loved it. So for me, it was just about how do I live? How do I do day to day? How do I eat? How do I open a business? Because back then we didn't have all this stuff back then.
Yeah.
And there weren't, we didn't have Medellin expat groups that I could write, 14 years ago and be like, hi, I'm coming to town. What do I do? How do I? Dude, you just had to come and do it. So I just looked at how much money I had and said, this is what I got. I need to make it work. That was all.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, Taco Fillings, thank you so much for the $22 dono. Let's go. Just saw the new law changes with personal possession, I'm assuming of weed. More fines now. Quick question. What's the safe way to score some bud legal where I am too? Well, I don't know. I don't smoke weed.
Laws changed? I thought you could.
Yeah, I don't know about the law change either. I mean, I guess I'm not aware because I don't buy it. Or so how to score it? I do have a couple friends that smoke it.
That's easy.
And yeah, there's literally people on WhatsApp that will send you like a menu of what you want, and they'll deliver it to your house. So scoring it and getting it is pretty easy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people carry it too. I'll walk out in the street and I'll see someone smoking a joint or a blunt.
It's legal.
Yeah, I don't think it's legal to smoke in public, but
It is.
people do. It is legal?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I mean,
but I do see, with the amount of people that I see smoking in public, I'm like, okay, it must be legal.
No, it's legal to smoke in public, and you're allowed to carry, I think, like 5 joints.
Oh, okay.
And dude, you're even allowed to carry cocaine up to, 3 grams?
Wow.
Is that a lot?
That's a lot of cocaine.
Okay. Look, guys, listen. I'm 53. I've never drank. I've never done drugs.
Yeah.
But
it is
being
decriminalized here.
But right. So I don't. I know that you can carry it and smoke it. So I don't know what law changes are you talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, don't come down here and buy shit because you're watching my channel either.
But if
All
you
right.
want, I can tell you how to score it.
Yeah, I don't know. No, but yeah. In all honesty, I don't know because I don't dabble in that. But you can get it here pretty easily. Let's see what's up, Mr. Warren Kenner says people love football. If you like soccer, football, it seems like you'll have company. Yeah, people love football here.
BS every Floridian has.
Taco Fillings, BS every Floridian has.
Maybe not drinking and doing drugs.
Yeah, he does. He's like the most sober person I know. For his Tejo tour, we've taken like our whole company when we used to have an office. We'd take our whole company to do the Tejo thing with Chris. We'd buy bottles of aguardiente or rum. Chris never drink, never.
Yeah.
Like, your vice is like what? Smoking cigars and what? Coca-Cola or what?
That's it.
Yeah.
Drinking Coke and smoking.
Drinking Coke, not doing Coke.
Yeah. Big difference. But yeah, man, people always laugh at me about that. And I'm like, no, man, I really funny because I've tasted stuff, but I don't like it. And one day I was at a tournament in this town called Puerto Bogota, Honda. And guys, this is just a town that's ungodly hot. So you have to drink something all the time or you get dehydrated. So I'm hurrying up to get to the bar to get a bottle of water. And my friend's like, Gringo. And I'm like, no. I already knew they were trying to give me alcohol. And I was like, no. And they're like, it's guarapo. And guarapo in Medellin is sugar cane and lime. So I was like, oh, and it's cold, because I saw it in the bottle. I knew it was cold. So I was like, oh, give me some guarapo. So they gave me a cup, pretty full, and I just went, wah.
It was alcohol?
Yes, because guarapo in Cundinamarca, Bogota, is fermented. And dude, if you've ever seen the video for Godzilla for Eminem, he just is like fire coming out of his mouth, and I was like, so no drugs or alcohol for me.
I've had that guarapo. They have them in small towns out here too. Eric, thank you for the 99 dono. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a great night. Amon, we missed him. Anon Man. Last time I was there about 5 years ago, it was crazy things. That were happening on a nightly basis in El Poblado. People were getting shook down by the police, pickpocketed, held up with knives. People from the hostel going to nightclubs.
Have you ever been fleeced by a cop here?
Once, yeah, one time. And no, he didn't fleece me. He actually just asked me for my ID.
Right, but I mean, see, I've heard of this a lot. The only time in all of my time here that I have paid a cop, he had me dead to rights out in the middle of effing nowhere because I passed on a double yellow line, and I had to pay him to so that I didn't have to travel 3 hours back by bus,
right.
And wait 2 days in a hotel. So I figured it's much better to pay the man than
figure that out.
Right. So, but I often wonder, I'm like, I don't know what's going on that when cops do that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, listen, one thing about cops here, guys, if you speak Spanish, you do not speak Spanish to police. Plain and simple. The stupider you are, the better.
Because it's harder on them to do that.
Do their job.
Yeah.
I mean, even, dude, for me, when I'm out traveling and stuff, like I was recently just pulled over for passing on the right-hand side, and the cop, I start off my same thing. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yo no hablo español bien. And they're just like, oh, God. And you see it in their face. So they try to make the effort to tell you what you did wrong, and you just are like, but when you start to speak Spanish to them, then they're like, okay, I got you.
Uh-huh.
But just remember, and if it's an emergency and you speak Spanish, by all means speak Spanish. But don't do it unless you absolutely have to.
George has a really good question. Do you guys have an explanation why Colombians living abroad are so afraid of living in Colombia? From my perspective, it looks chill, as if you just go about your life.
Yes, because most Colombians that live in the U.S., this is an overgeneralization, but a lot of them left in the 80s and 90s.
My parents, my family.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I worked my last job, there were 3 Colombians that worked in my office, and they all said the same
Florida.
thing. They didn't, their image of Colombia is what they remember from the 80s and 90s. And I even was like, what? Because I didn't know about it as like that. So I was like, come back to your country. I'll show you around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they do. They feel like it's dangerous and you're going to get killed walking out the door.
Yeah, I have family members that live in California, and they are afraid, or they think that it's super dangerous here because they left, in the early 80s.
Right.
And things have changed a lot. And thanks to, for example, my channel now, they're able to see how I live. That I buy property here, that I'm not getting kidnapped or extorted by anybody or murdered. And you can actually live a good life, and it's pretty safe as long as you're not doing unscrupulous things. Let's see. Monica Thompson. How you doing, Monica? Given the laughing face. Darwin says someone I met there got shook down by police, but he was acting crazy and had some things on him. Okay, well, yeah, there you go.
Dude, I met some tourists once at my tour who they had, like 2 or 3 joints and, like a little baggie of Coke. And they were like, yeah, we paid $500 to get out of it. And I was like, you did what? and they were like, well, what should we have done? And I'm like, well, first of all, it's legal. And they're like, what? And I was like, second thing, You say, take me to jail. You do not give them money. Take me to jail. Because once you get in front of the boss, the colonel, whatever, they are not going to arrest you and throw you in jail with everybody else because you are going to say, oh, call my embassy. Guys, don't pay money like $500. If you're cool paying $100 because you think it's easier, go ahead. But you could get into just as much trouble offering a bribe than having 2 ounces of cocaine.
Yeah. T-Mac asks, I read that it is customary to give a holiday bonus to employees. I plan doing it, but is that correct? Yes, that's absolutely correct. And not only is it customary, but if it's a salaried employee, it's mandatory. It's called prima. You give a bonus for Christmas and also in August. But if they're an independent contractor, for example, I have half of my staff are independent contractors. I use them project-based, and I give them Christmas bonuses for sure. Every Christmas, it's something you do. Even like my cleaning lady, she's a independent contractor now, and and we give her bonus all the time.
I'm giving my porteros and the cleaning staff because I smoke a lot of cigars and I'm usually out front of my building smoking. They call me Senor Tabaco, and I call them all Senor Poker. Poker is a beer here, and one day I bought some of the guys poker beers in the tienda across the street.
Right.
So that's always our joke. So on top of the food that we bought them, I bought 4 6-packs of poker beer. And I'm gonna
nice. Yeah. If you've got security guards at your building, you give them something for Christmas always. Victor says, Chris, would you like to do a comparison between Brazil and Colombia for work and in general life or life in general?
I can't because I didn't work in Brazil. I looked for work as an English teacher. I had my TEFL, but nobody wanted to hire me at the time because they felt like, and their reason was they felt like they knew that foreigners were going to leave, that they were there for 2 or 3 months tops.
Okay, so they didn't want to hire someone that's just going to be leaving. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I never got to work there, and honestly, 14 years ago, it's too hard to compare now.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Julian, what's up?
Feel more comfortable in Tijuana.
Julian Hurtado says, I am a Colombian and I want to go back. Been here, I'm assuming in the U.S., 23 years, tired of the rat race and want to get a remote job. Single and no kids, kind of boring here in the United States. Okay. Yeah, we get a lot of that for the Medellin Masterclass. A lot of people that want to come down here just because they're tired of living the culture or lack of culture in the United States. That's not my words or my opinion.
Right.
That's just me, saying what I hear. And yeah, if you're a young person or even an older person and you are living in the United States and you're not married by the time you're over 40, your social life is pretty small.
In the tank.
Yeah, it's in the tank. Here, your social life and your social circle will grow no matter what.
For sure.
So I agree with that. Coming down here to seek a better life, not just to take advantage of the low cost of living and not giving anything back, that's not great. But if you do plan on doing that, that's really the way to do it. Taco Filling says, is it safe to take a private car to a fine dining restaurant, dress in a dress shirt, no jewelry? Yeah, that's completely safe. Yeah, and even wearing jewelry is okay. It's just not like the times it gets dangerous to wear jewelry is when it's really expensive jewelry, like a Rolex or like a giant gold chain, and you're not going to get robbed. Usually, it's not like something that happens spur of the moment. Someone's robbing you because they're looking for people to rob. It's usually because they've been tracking you and they know, oh, he goes to this gym, or oh, this person goes to this bar and he's here again.
Right.
And they've seen you before, so they'll call their buddies in the hood. So it's usually something that has more planning than just like an opportunity that arose for these thieves. Obviously, it could happen that, it's a spur of the moment thing, but from what I've experienced, the people that have gotten robbed, if they're Rolexes or whatever, it's because this place has been cased. They know that people that go there are wearing this kind of stuff,
right.
And they seek the opportunity and they strike when the iron's hot.
But also to that point, it depends on what you're doing. Like if you let's just for argument's sake say you take a taxi to Carmen restaurant. Okay, you got no issue going into Carmen, from getting out of your taxi to walking in the door, there's no issue. And then if you walk one more block to go to a bar, all right, you got no issue. The issues really come down to 1 a.m., 2 a.m., you decide to walk down to your hotel because it's only 2 blocks away and you're typically alone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that could be dangerous. Yeah. And you might get away with it and think, oh, it's perfectly safe, but there will be that one time when it's not safe. So it's just better to be cautious. T-Max says, I feel more comfortable in Colombia than I do in many Mexican cities, especially Tijuana. I would get robbed in TJ, and the robbers would call the police on me for chasing them.
I don't know of any stories of tourists ending up in barrels of acid here like they do in Tijuana.
Yeah. Taco filling. Oh, we just read that. Is it safe to wear normal pants? Yes, please wear pants.
Yes.
It's not safe to come out in just underwear. But a button-down dress shirt, is that conspicuous? Seeing jewelry? Yes, you're perfectly fine. People dress up here. People dress nice here. Like in Medellin, even though it's hot, people are always wearing pants.
Except they don't tuck in their shirts.
They don't tuck in shirts. Yeah, they don't tuck in shirts.
That floors me. And I know it's just that I'm old. But
yeah, I was just going to say that. Why are you tucking your shirt? Wait, you have your... he's
not
wearing
this
shorts.
one,
I'm like, well, please don't tuck in your shirt with your shorts.
No, like if I were going out in Florida, if I were wearing a Tommy Bahama shirt that's made for not to be tucked in. If I were wearing a button-down shirt, I'd be wearing a belt and my shirt tucked in.
Yeah.
Period.
That's very Tommy Bahama-ish of you.
Yes.
Darwin, taco filling I had on a suit for my birthday. Oh, I thought I read birthday suit. I had my birthday suit on. Felt good, but was definitely out of place and hot once the tequila set it. Yeah. Remember, Medellin is hot even in the evening. Right now it's raining, and we got the air conditioning on because if it wasn't on, we'd be like sweating in here. It's humid and hot, so wearing like a 3-piece suit could be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can't imagine wearing long sleeves here. I don't even like wearing pants.
Yeah.
I mean, jeans, only shorts.
There's a reason why we're only filming from here on out. We're both not wearing pants. Derwin, I am still scared of taxis. Haven't left my Uber bubble yet.
Why?
Yeah, there's no need to be scared. You can actually order taxis on Uber now, and they're cheaper and they're faster. They're more reliable than Uber. I still use Uber, but like if I'll get in a taxi if I need to. Like it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But I understand if you have like zero Spanish. Like if you're zero Spanish, getting into a taxi could be intimidating. So it's a lot more comfortable to just do an Uber. Yeah, I agree with that part.
See, that's weird for me.
Why?
I mean, because I don't like, and again, I know it's because I'm older. Like if I want to go somewhere, I want to go. I don't want to sit and wait 10, 15 minutes for a car to get there or cancel on me. Like for me,
that happens because you live out there.
Well, no, I mean if I'm here or anywhere,
Like maybe because it's here, I get like I'll order an Uber right now. The most I'll wait is 3 minutes.
Well, the big thing for me is since I run my tour out there.
Yeah.
So I have nothing but tourists say, "Oh, they canceled on us. We're waiting on the next one." Or
Yeah.
Now they could be lying, but for me, I'm like, you're not going to wait if you just jump into a cab. And it may be $1, not even $1 more. If you're trying to save money. But yeah, you're right. If you don't speak any Spanish whatsoever, like
I would do Uber. Like for example, if I was going to a new country, like for example, Brazil.
Yep.
I don't know Portuguese. I wouldn't jump into a street cab, just because I don't know the culture. I don't know the people. I don't know the language. So I'd just be like, okay, just get an Uber because it's safer.
See, I did that 14 years ago. But when I went back just a few months ago, it was really weird because I thought that because I spoke Spanish or, somewhat, that I thought it'll be a little easier for me this time. I was more scared of
Really?
it. Yeah. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, what is he saying? Where before, I was just completely stupid and, it didn't matter. I was just like, I want to go here,
Yeah.
Sorry, you can't see it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm old. I don't like Uber.
Victor Rand, thank you both. Great info, guys. Thanks, Victor. Appreciate you. Michael Sand says, how did you go about making new friends in Medellin when you first arrived? Good question.
Well, for me personally, I opened a restaurant, and so I got to meet everybody. I mean, pretty much back then, if you came into town, you probably came through my restaurant. And honestly, a lot of the people that have been here as long as we have, a lot of people met at my restaurant. So, I mean, it's kind of cool for me because people be like, oh, yeah, we met at your place and we're still friends. So it's kind of cool to be responsible for it. But I will say my life changed when I started playing Tejo because I stopped hanging around foreigners, and I'm pretty much only hanging around with Colombians. So you just have to be nice and make an effort because Colombians are great people. You know, I mean, dude, I can go to any town in this country where there's a Tejo court, and they're going to know who I am.
Yeah, that's cool.
and they'll take care of me, not just be like, you gotta get away.
Yeah, they actually want to hang out with you, get to know you.
So
I get that.
It's easier for me because I'm in the sport. But how did you go about making friends?
Yeah, that's it's a great question, Michael, because a lot of people, first of all, a lot of the people that I've met here over the last 13 years that are foreigners that are traveling, and even like backpackers that would travel to different countries, they stay long-term in Medellin because they say that they were able to make deeper connections and better friendships in Medellin. I don't know what it is. It's probably the people, the culture, a culmination of a lot of things. But yeah, so I did very similar as Chris here, was through playing basketball. Like I played basketball. I created the Medellin Basketball Association on Facebook, which had like thousands of people join, and we would play. I would play basically every other day. So, and I was playing with it was a mix of foreigners and locals. And then when I was playing in tournaments here competitively all year, up until I was 40, till 2 years ago, it was all Colombians. Like everybody on my team was all Colombians and Venezuelans. Venezuelans surprisingly play a lot of basketball. They play a lot of baseball. We know that, but they played a lot of, like some of the best players I've seen are Venezuelan, which was amazing. So yeah, doing activities that you like is the best way to make connections with people here, or finding new activities like Tejo. Chris never knew about Tejo before, right?
No.
Yeah. So doing new things.
Yeah. I think so in Tejo, just as an example, you know, I play. So I have offered to men, I mean, and women, but, you know, usually the guys that move here, you know, 40 plus, probably played golf at home or probably played softball or something, you know, looking for something to do on a regular basis. So I've said, if you want to play Tejo, I will coach you and teach you how to play and play from, like, really play the game. And, you know, if you get some other friends, we could form a team. I'll coach you on how to do it so you don't look like idiots, basically. In 8 years of doing this, I have not had one person take me up on it.
Wow.
And, you know, I'm like, this is a way to be social.
Yeah, it's a great way to make friends, local friends, because you're playing 100% of the time with
Colombians.
Locals.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, doing activities and getting into groups. There's a group here basically for anything you want to do, from board games to paddleball, well, pickleball now. Yeah, there's a pickleball group.
Monster.
Spike ball group. There's everything type group. So there's really no excuse. The biggest excuse will be just because you're being lazy and you don't want to go do stuff. And then you're like, oh man, I didn't make any friends. Well, did you really try, you know?
Well, and that's, I mean, honestly, you know, well, making friends is really the best way. I mean, I met my wife through my female best friend. You know,
Oh, really?
Yeah, she called me up and was like, hey, do you want to go have lunch with a friend of mine and I? I was like, yeah, I got nothing to do. You know, bam. 2 days later, went on with my now wife because she spoke a little English, you know, to go look for property to open my restaurant.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, we've been together for 12 years.
Wow.
Sorry. Can we edit this? 12 years. Sorry, honey.
It's live, by the way. There's no editing. T-Mac, oh, you guys are talking about the taxis at the airport? Yeah. For taxis at the airport, I just have a driver that I met, a friend of mine who is a driver. He has a driving service. So whenever I go to and from the airport, he's my guy. I don't even mess with taxis or Ubers because the price is pretty set in stone. It's like I think it's like 120,000 pesos now or something like that. But it'll fluctuate, and I'd rather just deal with him, and I know that he's going to be on time, and he's always going to be there. Never lets me down. Oscar, CBL Daddy, I didn't miss. I missed mentioning your question, not your question, but your comment. CBL Daddy was asking where I'm going to go watch the UFC tonight. I'll probably go to Patrick's. I'm with my girl. If you don't mind coming in and hanging out with me and my girl. Patrick. I love going to Patrick's for events like that because it's just like the American feel. I like going to Iway as well, but I think Patrick's just gets more rowdy.
It does. Dude, Patrick defriended me on Facebook.
Oh, God. I don't even want to know about that.
I corrected his spelling on something, and I said, I was like, and I understand the irony of me correcting somebody on spelling, because I'm an idiot. I'm a flat out idiot when it comes to spelling. But he got pissed, and I was like, dude, you're trying to promote something to English fans. They're going to give you a lot of shit for that. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah.
And he defriended me.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm sorry. That was one of the best defriends I've ever had.
Oh, my gosh. Taco Filling says, how cheap to own acres for farming? I don't know what that would be because I've never owned land.
Well, I've got my father-in-law is trying to sell a farm for 27 hectares. Hectares. Hell, I don't even know what the price is. Never mind. Never mind.
I'd like to know the price. You should tell us. Tell me when you find out. B Hill, what's up? Is there a beach there?
In Medellin? There's places.
Look at a map.
There's places called La Playa.
Yeah, there's a street called La Playa, but there's no beach.
And in San Antonio de Prado, they have an area called La Playa. But there's lake beaches, but not saltwater beaches. That would be funny.
How far is Patrick's from Hooters? It's on the same streets, like a block away.
Yeah.
Steve Washington, thoughts on the recent murder of American in Robledo? Yeah, the Asian dude. Love the channel, and thanks for conversations like this. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was a terrible thing that happened to him. So as far as I know, the story, which I was reading, he was kind of an influencer in his hometown in the United States, and also an aspiring comedian, I think. So he was a comedian. Right? Yeah, he's a comedian. I obviously didn't know the dude, but from what I heard is that he was partying with some girls, and the girls invited him over to Robledo. And one of my students from the Medellin masterclass sent me the link to the thing. He said, wow, did you guys see this? And I was like, him going to Robledo off of a Tinder date would be like if I know LA, I don't know what Florida is, but what the equivalent would be in Florida. But it would be like if I'm in LA and I live in Brentwood or in the suburbs somewhere, and I match with someone on Tinder, and she asks me to come over to her house in Compton or South Central LA or Watts, and says, hey, come over to my pad, it wouldn't matter how hot she is. I would not go, just because I'm Latino. I'm not going into a hood, in South Central LA or whatever, just to maybe get my pee-pee wet. Sorry.
No, but dude, it's true. It's so true.
It's literally, that's the equivalent of going to Robledo, where he was at, where his body was found. That's not, and that's not blaming him either, because you don't know what you don't know. But I hope that his murder doesn't go in vain, so that people watching this channel, reading those stories, realize that every woman out here that hits you up on Tinder is not into you. If it's not happening in your country where women are hitting you up and trying to hit on you and make you feel great, that doesn't happen naturally to you in the United States, and it shouldn't be happening here. And there's something up.
Listen, if you're a solid 6 and a 10 is hitting on you,
yeah. No. Well, maybe you got a lot of money.
Well, I don't know if they'll know that instantly.
Yeah, they won't know that instantly, unless if you're like Tinder, your Tinder profile is like you and your Lambo or something.
Dude, it's really funny because I have I have only been hit on one time in the last 12 years. Like being in Parquilleras or any of my tournaments or anything like that, girls just don't hit on me. And I'm like, I mean, I was sitting in Jarrah smoking a cigar and with 3 older guys, and a prostitute walked up and she didn't even look at me. Now, I didn't want to have a conversation with her. That's not the point. The point is I'm like, I still would appreciate being flirted with. You know, that would be nice.
But she didn't even look at you.
No, not at all. And in fact, in Jarrah, I swear to God, the only 3 people that have ever, girls, I think, that spoke to me. I say that I think. I was smoking one day in the park, and I looked out. There were 3 people, and I could swear that one was like 12. One, I think, was a guy dressed up like a girl, and then a girl. And they were like, what is that? And, you know, in Spanish, like, ¿qué es eso? I was like, un tabaco. And they're like, can we try it? I was like, here you go. Gave it to her. She took a puff of it, started hacking up a lung, and walked away. And I was like, okay, good. But still, if you're prostitutes, shouldn't you at least talk to me first? But no, I even told my wife. So for the first time in all this time, I had a girl in Bucaramanga hit on me.
Wow. Congratulations.
I was like, but the funny thing is I told my wife and she got pissed off at me. And I'm like, I'm being honest here. Is that not what I'm supposed to be?
Yeah. Yeah. Kentucky Fried says she had neck tattoos. Huge red flag. I don't know. The tattoos in Colombia could be a red flag because not everybody has tattoos here, like in the United States. So people that have like face tattoos or neck tattoos, especially if they're not, you know, they look like hood tattoos. They could they could be really huge red flags, and especially if a girl tells you, "Oh, I'm from Manrique," or "I'm from Robledo el Diamante," and she's got neck tattoos, and you're like, you should know. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm from South Central LA, and you got like, you know, gang tattoos, right? It's like the same.
Would you date a girl with a neck tattoo?
Yeah, I don't mind tattoos, but I mean, literally, I've never, out of all the girlfriends I've had in 13 years here, they've had very little had any tattoos.
Yeah.
Like my current girlfriend has one like little triangle on her wrist, but that's it. Yeah, but I'm not saying it's anything bad, because it's your expression. It's just that you should know. You can link the two, like, okay, where are you from, and then what they look like, and you know.
Yeah, a girl that went to the Columbus school probably didn't get a neck tattoo.
Yeah, true. Yeah, CBL Daddy. Not only that, the family should have paid the $2K. Really, they were only asking for $2,000. That's when you know that it's like, these guys weren't professional, right? They're only asking for $2,000.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
when I read that, $2,000.
$2,000. I didn't know that. I know there was like they held him for ransom, but I didn't know that, and I didn't know that the family didn't even want to pay, or I don't know. I don't know the story, so I don't want to misspeak. Taco fillings. Where was the guy's body found? It was somewhere in Robledo, I think, like near El Diamante. You guys got any ideas what remote jobs we can do and make dollars? Yeah, I've got a ton of ideas, bro. I can't think of one. No, yeah, so basically...
Set up podcasts, apparently.
No, but I mean, to monetize a podcast or monetize a channel, you've got to really study the algorithm. I started this channel in September, but before that, I started streaming and I had a gaming channel for 2 years, which didn't succeed. It didn't make me any money. But I learned in 2 years what the algorithm was, how to make the videos, how long a video should be. You have to have a hook. You have to have your content. You have to be able to edit. I had to learn how to edit. So there's a lot involved there. But for as far as working online and finding jobs online, find whatever you're good at and look for it online on websites like Upwork, websites like freelancer.com, guru.com. That's how I started. I knew how to make some websites, like using WordPress, and I knew a little bit about digital marketing, like search engine optimization. And since I was an English teacher, I liked to write. I had my own blog and stuff. So that's what I was looking for 13 years ago when I got deported. I literally got a borrowed laptop and I started looking for those types of jobs online. And I would basically prostitute myself because I was living in Colombia and I was broke. I would work for $4 an hour. Literally, that was
Really?
like my $4 an hour, $5 an hour, then $8 an hour. Now my rate on Upwork is $120 an hour if someone wants to hire me for digital marketing.
Yeah, he wanted $1,000 for a website like 5 years ago.
Yeah, this guy wouldn't pay me.
Jackass.
This guy, he wanted to give me a fucking chicken
Chicken
burger.
sandwich. That's right. I'd come out of retirement and make you some buffalo chicken sandwiches.
I would have taken that though. Yeah. So yeah, find whatever you're good at. Find the outlets where you can find those. Even LinkedIn works nowadays too.
I would say this, just because before we started today, we were talking about an idea that I've got. You can also make money here, but it's not as easy. I mean, it's definitely not as easy earning a living here with an idea than doing it online, because I mean, you're already doing something that exists.
Right.
But I mean, that you just find things that are unique and that people enjoy. I mean, like I gravitate to entertainment because people spend money on entertainment.
Yeah.
No matter what country you're in. So for me, that's kind of what I look at. But, like 4 years ago, I went out to the waterfall in La Ceja. They didn't have tours. And if I had been smart, I would have bought a truck or, a car and taken people out there to have a tour, because I would have made a lot of money at it. Now it's saturated market. But, there's plenty of things you can find that are something you know about and you want people to experience it. You can make a living doing that here.
Yeah. Yeah. Derwin, thank you so much for the $5. For all the good info. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Julian says, wow, okay. Taco Filling says, seems like much of north and northwest of Medellin is a no-go, but south is safer. Down through Pereira and Manizales. Yeah, south of Medellin is definitely safer, like Envigado, Sabaneta, El Poblado, La Frontera, all these areas.
But you should be specific and say that it's the eastern side of the river.
Of the river, yeah.
I mean, because going up into Itagüí, I mean, there's some good parts and there's definitely some bad parts.
Yeah.
So the southeast is better than the southwest.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's basically like, you don't want to go into... I always tell people you don't really want to go into hoods. Why would you go into hoods? Unless if you knew people there and you have family or friends or a girlfriend that's going to take you to meet their family, etc. But just for this dark tourism, it could get dark real quick.
Dude, listen, out of living here so long, that is the thing that I think that bothers me almost the most. There's a tour now for Manrique to go to these little colorful houses. And I'm like, why? I mean, what? Why?
I don't understand it either. I've been here 13 years. I've never done a Comuna 13 tour.
No.
I'm like, I remember in 2000, what was it, in 2015 it was 2011 when the stairs were put in.
Yeah.
But I was a year in to Colombia, and I'm I'm Colombian, and I know what can happen if you go into like San Javier, Comuna 13, those hot neighborhoods, and you're Colombian. You could be wearing something wrong, or and get killed, and they get money for that. They make money from killing their rivals. So why would I want to go do that? Obviously now it's a complete tourist attraction, but I don't really want to know. I don't really want to go.
But I don't think it's completely different. I think the areas in where tourists are allowed to go is different. But go 3 blocks over.
Yeah.
Is it changed?
Yeah.
And look, I get a lot of flack I have friends that started those tours. But they're like, oh, you're hating on the thing. And I'm like, hey, you can make money, make money. I'm all for you making money. I just don't get it. That doesn't mean that it's not, it just means I'm kind of an idiot. But, I just relate it to God. You know what? 8 years ago, you didn't go up there. So what's there? And now they see, the culture. I'm like, what's the culture? I see kids dancing for money. I'm like, is that culture?
Right.
I mean, I think what I do is probably one of the most cultural things you can do, because Tejo predates the Spaniards' arrival to Colombia. I'm not going to say you got to do what I do, but I don't.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a good perspective. I think it's a good way to look at it. I mean, I guess when it's all said and done, hopefully that it brings some more money into that area. Maybe it creates jobs for that area, etc. But it's not something that I would personally enjoy to do,
Yeah.
go into a hood for a tour or like a Pablo Escobar tour or whatever. I'm not really interested in that. Julian, what was your investment for the restaurant?
Oh, less than $5,000, maybe 3.
Yeah, remember, this was 2011.
Yeah, so it really was a nominal, three to $5,000, nothing more.
Yeah.
And I sold it for about that because I didn't think anybody would really want to buy my restaurant. So I sold it to the manager.
Yeah. Taco Fillings, El Tesoro area. El Tesoro is like one of the nicest neighborhoods in town. Very expensive. Sabaneta is cheaper, but also nice. It's a very family-oriented area.
I love Sabaneta.
Yeah, I love going to the park there, especially during Christmas time. Like right now, they have all the lights, people walking around everywhere, little shops, little food stands, very family-friendly or family-oriented. Sabaneta is great, yeah. Like, it's a great place to live.
Hang on. So Derwin is saying that he did the Pablo tour, but he's sad. I don't relate a Comuna 13 tour or a Manrique tour to Pablo Escobar tour because at Pablo Escobar tour, you're learning about what he did. A lot of people here, especially foreigners, are like, oh, they're glorifying Pablo. I've been on 2. Nobody's ever glorified Pablo Escobar on the tour.
Yeah.
But, you go to his gravesite and watch all the Colombians walk over to it and kiss their hand and then tap on his grave. Yeah, they love him. But dude, I don't see anything wrong with doing a Pablo tour. Just like if I were in Chicago, I'd want to learn about, what was his name?
Al Capone?
Yeah.
An Al Capone tour?
Yeah. And I know they exist.
Don't they? Yeah, I think they have like a museum or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have no interest. Taco Fillings, you like less loud and busy. Yeah. El Tesoro, no sounds up there. That's where the rich live. Sabaneta, it's going to be loud in the sense that it's a little dense and the streets are small. But if you live like in an apartment building, you're probably not going to get much noise anyway.
Yeah, I lived there for 7 years and I thoroughly loved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you were in like an apartment building or a house or? Okay.
Yep. No, it was great. Sabaneta is a fantastic choice. The only problem with Sabaneta is the traffic because they're building more and more apartments and there's really no space for infrastructure. So, what happened 7 years ago, you could whip right on through. And now, if there's an ounce of traffic, you could take 10 minutes to go 200 yards. That's why I have a motorcycle.
And that's why the motorcycle's key for you. But the streets are narrow. They didn't plan on this thing growing the way it did. And really, it's been growing for the last like 10 years because 10 years ago, it was just a small town. I remember going to Sabaneta. I remember never going to Sabaneta because there's nothing to do.
Dude, do you remember when Brent was like the only one that lived in Envigado out of all of us?
Yeah.
And I remember all of us, whenever he'd be like, hey, why don't we have our MES meeting out here or whatever? Everybody would be like, F off. We're not going all the way. We don't have passports for that.
Yeah.
But, now I'm like, are you kidding me? It's 5 kilometers.
Sounds like NYC traffic. Yeah. B Hill, what's Comuna 13? Comuna 13, it's a neighborhood. It was one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Medellin, if not the most dangerous neighborhood in Medellin in the 90s, and it's turned itself around. They built electric stairs because it's very, very inclined. It's like on a hill, on a mountainside. So the people that lived there didn't really have access to the rest of the city. Now they do because of the extension of those electric stairs, the metro cable, the cable cars that will go all the way up there for people to come in and out of that neighborhood to work in like downtown or anywhere in the city. So it was so when it was put in 2011, after that, the few years after that, Medellin won a bunch of awards like innovation awards, public transportation awards across the world, really. They were that's why it became so famous because it was being recognized as being like an arm towards this underserved, underprivileged neighborhood that now has access. So it was built for access. Now it's become a tourist attraction.
But do you remember when they started it? Like immediately when they finished it, when the cops just kind of let it be on its own, then the gangs moved in and started controlling it. And then every 3 or 4 months, the cops would come out and chase away the gangs and police it and then they would leave again, and then the gangs would come back and start, charge people to go up and down them.
Yeah. So that happens here. Yeah. So yeah, guys. So today's topic is Chris, Chris and his life, because even though we've known each other for a very long time, he lives in a completely different part of the city than I do. And he also leads his life differently because he is married. He also has a tour company basically here in Medellin, as opposed to me where I work online. I'm not married. I might be married soon. Oh, by the way, I'm having a baby. She's pregnant. I didn't tell him.
What? Are you?
I'm serious. I can't believe it. I can't believe it either.
We need to cut the feed. I'm going to beat.
I can't believe it either. But yeah, so I'm going to be a dad. Oh
my God.
So yeah, we're very different. You don't have any kids, huh?
No, I have a cat.
You have a cat?
I have a cat. But let me say this just about what he's saying. Dude, it's there are people that you're going to find that you like, but it's hard to connect with them if you're not on their schedule, or I don't even, the side of town or whatever it is. Like, I usually work after 4, but all my friends work until 4 or 5, so, I mean, my social life for the last year and a half was smoking cigars with guys before 12, because they were free, so it's now you're just like, oh, I mean, one of my best friends, he's a lawyer here. Dude, I never see him. I see him maybe once every 4 months. But it's because of the schedule. So, again, what Andrew said about, when you find something that you like, you're going to meet like people. And that's how you got to stick to it. Because, those of us that have been here for 10 plus years, we all do different stuff. And so it's really hard to mesh our lives in with each other because schedule. Yeah,
scheduling, distances sometimes too.
Yeah.
If you're on different sides. But yeah, thanks for the congratulations, guys. T-Mac, you have 5 kids? Holy cow, you could give me a master class on how to raise some kids. Holy crap. CBL Daddy, Chris sounds like he has a vasectomy. Welcome to the club.
I need to get one so bad.
Go get it, buddy. Josh asks, best up-and-coming areas in Medellin to purchase Airbnb to use for vacation as well, and safety is a priority. Those are 2 different things, though. Lifestyle and business are 2 different things. If you want to make money on Airbnb, El Poblado. There's no ifs, ands, or but about it. Yeah, Laureles, if you have, let's say, $150,000 for an Airbnb to buy an apartment, invest it in El Poblado, because you're going to be able to get, $2,000 a month, maybe $3,000 a month on that Airbnb. Whereas in Laureles, you're probably not going to get those prices yet. They may be in the future, but for now and forever, El Poblado is, in the foreseeable future for me, is the place to be for tourism.
Don't say the E word in this conversation. You will not live to see your child.
What?
Envigado.
Oh, Envigado. Yeah, don't go to Envigado.
Yeah.
No, Envigado.
Do not purchase property for Airbnb in Envigado, please.
Well, yeah, there's a few in Envigado, and there's a reason, just because there's not much to do out there. Like tourists, when they come down here, they want to go to Provenza, they want to go to the nice restaurants, they want to go to the clubs, they want to go to the bars. If you rent an Airbnb for 5 days in Envigado, you're going to be kicking yourself because you're going to be taking Ubers all the time to El Poblado. Because
listen to what he's telling you.
But it's true. It's true. It's not.
I know.
Eric, thank you for the $4.99. Understand that MD has no hookup culture, but if you go to a language exchange, can you safely meet friends, smart chicas there too? Yes, absolutely. I used to love going to the language exchanges. I actually used to put on language exchanges, 100 people, 120 people. By the way, guys, I'm going to be doing an in-person meeting in Medellin in January. So in the description, there's a link to the Facebook page, the Medellin Buzz Facebook page. I'll be creating the event there so that we can all meet, make friends. Also invite all of my local friends, and it'll be great. It'll be kind of like a little language exchange and networking event. Josh, oh, we just answered that. The come up story. What's up, Corey? Corey says, shout out to Andrew. I was in Manila earlier at a cafe. Cambria. Oh, you were at Cambria. Yeah, I walked by there this morning. Great spot. Question, where do you see the future growth and opportunities for Medellin over the next 5 to 10 years? The future growth, if you're talking about investments, again, El Poblado is the place to invest if you want biggest bang for your buck and return for your buck. Laureles is up and coming, but again, that's a more of a lifestyle thing. A lot of people want to buy in Laureles because they like living there, not necessarily renting out, 90% of the year in an area or 80%. Like my vacancy is my occupancy is over 80%, but I'm right here in Manila, in El Poblado. I don't know if I'd be able to get that in Laureles for the amounts that I'm charging. I'd have to lower my price for sure.
Yeah.
George says the Colombians look down on each other because of the layers, the layer structure. You mean the layer structure? You mean like estratos? Yeah. How do you guys see this thing if it affects foreigners socializing? Well, first of all, yeah, most Colombians will ask you, like, where do you live? And they'll know exactly who they're dealing with when you answer that question. If you say you live in El Poblado, you're at strato 5 or 6. If you say I live in Aranjuez or Manrique, we know what type of person in estrato that is, right? So, yeah, there is a point there. But if you're a gringo, they automatically assume you're a 4, 5, or 6 estrato.
Oh. Yeah, all of my friends think I'm rich. I mean, minimum once or twice a month, I get a friend writing me on, hey, gringo, yo necesito 200 para eso, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I just bought a mattress. I have no money. I'm like, dude.
I just flat out say no. I'm very good at saying no. Over the years, whenever I get asked for money by anybody, I just say no. I have a freaking foundation where we help kids in underserved communities. I don't need to give anybody money, right? I help enough.
I told you once that I saw one of my shirts that I gave you to donate.
Yeah.
I saw a guy wearing my shirt.
Oh, really?
I swear to God, I was driving through Sabaneta.
What shirt was it?
It was
like a Tejo shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Tejo Pro Santander.
Oh my God.
And I saw it and
funny.
I was like, what the? I was like, all right, I know that he got that donated.
Let's see. Derwin says, Chris, that was me after military retirement. Want to do stuff with people, but they had to work. Yeah. Julian says, how do you start learning about digital marketing? You build your network. I Upwork. Start learning. I've never paid for a course. I learned everything about digital marketing. Free courses online. There's a ton of resources on YouTube. My favorite guy to follow, and he has a course on YouTube and on his website. His name is Neil Patel. For example, when I hire a new person, I make them take that course, the Neil Patel course, and it's absolutely free about digital marketing. It's, particularly search engine optimization. Digital marketing is a huge, there's a lot of things that it encompasses. So focus on the thing that you're attracted to the most. Michael Sands, Chris, is there any talk of Hollywood making a movie about your life as the only gringo to help player? Who should play you?
The funny thing, Bradley Cooper should play me, by the way. But the funny thing is, there was a documentary on Netflix, Icarus.
Icarus. I never saw it though, but I know what you're talking about.
But it won a Oscar or whatever. And anyway, I met one of the videographers for it on my tour, and he was like, "Why don't we talk?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." So when he left, like 3 months later, I wrote him, and I guess he was just, I don't think he was full of it, but he didn't ever write me back. So I was kind of hoping that would happen. But yes, I think Bradley Cooper and I would be a good.
Okay.
Only.
Let's see.
Are we obsessed with Latin women?
Wait, hold on. There was another comment there. Somebody, are you obsessed with Latina women? Are you obsessed with Latina women? Are women hard to get for you back in the USA, and therefore you need to travel to Colombia to get one? Elvis Garcia de Jesus. Am I obsessed with Latin women? No. I've dated. So I never dated. I don't know if you could believe this, but in Southern California, I never dated a Latina ever in my whole life. I've lived 26 years in Southern California, and most of them are Mexicans or Central Americans. So I never had a Latina girlfriend until I got to Colombia. Until I was kicked out of the U.S. and brought to Colombia, did I actually start dating Latinas. I love all women, man, all shades. I don't hate. I don't discriminate. I just regulate. Hey, thank you so much, Taco Philly, for the 3333. That's an awesome number. What is the grass-fed beef and steak situation? Tell me about the barbecue. Tasty, tasty lions. Loins.
Loins.
Lions.
Honestly, I don't like beef in Colombia, period. I've had one good restaurant in Envigado, called Lucio Vino y Carbon. That place does an amazing job with their beef. But I mean, otherwise, I really don't eat beef here.
Yeah, it's not really a popular thing. Colombians, not Colombians, I shouldn't say Colombians, but particularly paisas from this area, they're not big. How can I put this politely? Well, they do eat meat, but
no, I know it's just not good.
Yeah, it's just not. There's no culinary culture around beef or barbecuing, etc. So it's hard to find.
There is a new restaurant in Geno Grande, I think. It's real close to La Ceja, called Texas. Best brisket I've ever had, but it is imported. But oh my God, it's delicious.
No, really.
But I mean, otherwise,
yeah, like the only other ones that I can think of, like 4 years ago when I wasn't vegan, my favorite place to eat meat there was two. There was one called Malevo, which is the Argentinian restaurant. And now there's another Argentinian restaurant called, I forgot the name.
Cambalache?
Yeah, I think so. So Argentinian restaurants, because they know how to deal with meat, are usually good. And also the Brazilian rodizio that was here was pretty darn good too, but they closed.
I remember getting into a discussion with the waiter about that because they cut the meat, but it was like that thick. And I was like, just so you know, in Brazil, it's thin. And he's like, but in Colombia, we want you to taste the meat. And I'm like, you taste the meat when it's paper thin. And I was like, all right.
Hey, T-Mac, thank you for the $9.99. Congratulations on the new kid. Thank you. I appreciate it. Can't wait for that little dude. It's going to be a boy, by the way. I'm so stoked. So stoked. We'll play basketball. Sure? Yeah, it's 99% sure. Unless if it was like an umbilical cord that we're looking at. But the doctor said 99% sure it's a kid. A boy. Andres. Oh, wait. So the question about the obsession with Latinas was for Chris.
Oh, well, dude, no. No, not at all.
Well, you're married to a Latina, but that's about it.
I'm certainly not obsessed. I mean, when I lived in the U.S., I mean, God, my wife is going to kick my ass. I did much better in the United States, but you got to remember too. I mean, I'm older.
Yeah.
I'm not some 20 or 30-year-old that's looking to get it wet. I mean, as my primary thing. I want a nice person.
Yeah.
Somebody that I know is loyal. And when I met my wife, I instantly knew who she was. So, no, dude, if I had met, 12 years ago, a gringa down here, I would have probably be married with her.
Yeah, yeah.
Culture doesn't make a difference for me.
Yeah. Taco filling, damn, no party. Yeah. Taco filling, I think the best advice I could give in regards to food is lower your expectations, and you won't be burnt. I guess pun intended. But the food situation here has gotten way better than it was. Wouldn't you say, like 12 years ago?
It is night and day.
Yeah, night and day. The food situation.
But I'll tell you, so I was in Brazil in July. I went back, and then I just went to Buenos Aires in September or November.
The food?
The food's so good. I mean, eating a 500, I know you wouldn't like it, but, eating 400 and 500 gram steaks that were just perfect, it's disheartening to think, how can Colombians get this so wrong?
Yeah, but it's weird because I mean, my parents, they grew up poor. For example, like my dad, my mom had never eaten an egg until she was 18. Like that's how poor they were. And my dad, he
Holy
said that
crap.
they would have meat on one day a week.
Yeah.
Like that was that I think that's a major part of why Colombians aren't. This is generations of poverty.
Right.
So there isn't much to work with there. Hey, Venus, what's up? Thank you so much for the $5. Appreciate you, my guy. By the way, guys, I'm still doing 100% of all these donations are going to help Colombia for all of their, not only the Christmas drives that they're doing right now for all the kids in Moravia, El Botadero, which is in Los Altos de Belén, and all the orphanages. We've already delivered on the orphanages, but we're going to Moravia and El Botadero. We're doing Christmas gifts, so we still have more to do. So all of this goes towards that. Sorry, I didn't mention that at the beginning, but thank you for those donations. 100% will go there. And on top of that, whatever's left over goes towards the English classes for next year in the neighborhood of Moravia for the kids there. Love them. If you guys want to come down here when you are down here, and you want to volunteer, just hit me up, email me. My email's in the description below, and I'll add you to the WhatsApp group for volunteers, and you'll know what's going on.
See, he does such good things. I feel like a lazy slob with my only giving back in Tejo.
Yeah, but I mean, that's more than a lot of people would ever do. So yeah, don't beat yourself up. And also, I am a founder of Help Colombia, but I don't run it. Like I've got my businesses to run and stuff. We've got like a team that runs that. So yeah, but
is that Steve?
No, Steve has his own foundation, but we work together. For example, he's helping us with some of the gifts and stuff. So yeah, Steve's an amazing guy.
Sorry, I was like, when he's not getting shot.
Yeah, when he's not getting shot.
Sorry, Steve.
69, way better. Congratulations on your baby boy, and God bless your family. That's very exciting. It is exciting. I'm super excited about it. Andy, congratulations, Dad. Cool. Congrats on the kiddo. Thanks a lot, Zaku and Venus. Taco says, I saw a lot of poverty in jungles of Ecuador, but they had chickens, plenty of eggs, lived in shacks, but had plenty of papaya and chicken. Yeah, I think when you live in the jungle, it's easier to if you're living in a city, like my parents grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s in Bogota.
Ooh.
Yeah,
you aren't having chickens.
Yeah, you're not having chickens really. Yeah, they were basically dirt poor. My dad took me back to his neighborhood when he came back for the first time after 36 years of not living. And in Bogota, it's called El Cartucho, which is like houses made of like sticks and aluminum and shit. Yeah, El Cartucho. It was near. Shoot, I forget where it was near. There's a big church next to it, but there's big churches everywhere. It's like that narrows it down. That narrows it down to the entire city.
That's funny.
Elvis, Buzz, do you like? My name is Andrew, but yes, you could call me Buzz. Buzz Lightyear. Did you like carne a la llanera? Yes, I used to love carne a la llanera. Also, you can do live only in Spanish one day, so you can reach out all Hispanic men across Latin America. I wouldn't do it if I did if I did stuff in Spanish, I'd have to create another channel. I've thought about it. It's just that I feel more comfortable expressing myself and talking in English. But if I did do something in Spanish, I'd have to create another channel because the algorithm, YouTube would punish me for doing in another language. They encourage you to just do another channel. Yeah, because it'll screw with the algorithm.
That's
yeah. Poor people have chickens. Yeah. Esteban El Rolo. Yeah, I was actually born in Bogota in 1981. And then we immigrated.
God.
Yeah, we immigrated to California in 1984, 85. I was 4 years old. Yeah, 85. Yeah, so we only lived there for 2 years when I was a baby because we moved to Bucaramanga. That's where my sister was born, and then grew up in California.
I love Bucaramanga.
Love it. Yeah, Bucaramanga is great. George, Andrew, your favorite real estate listing site? There is none. There's not one favorite.
There's not even, I really love when people ask in the groups, like, I need a real estate agent, trustworthy. I'm like, it doesn't work here the same way as it does at home. There's no multiple listing service here, so you're not going to be able to go and narrow down an area and be
Yeah.
like, I want to live here, therefore there has to be a real estate agent.
No.
Doesn't work that way.
Nope. Yeah, it's tough. Andres, was it easy for you to adjust to Colombian life since your parents were already Colombian? No. No. I remember my parents were Colombian, but we were basically accustomed to living in California. I lived there 26 years, so we had basically taken on a lot of the things that Americans do, right? So, and I had no idea about life in Colombia. And the only idea I had of it was of my parents living there in the early 80s, in the 70s and 60s. So when I got here in 2010, it was basically a different world as to what my parents
Freaking
knew.
Disney World.
Yeah, it's like completely different. So it was hard to adjust, but you know, when you're cornered, you just got to do things, right? Are there any beaches that aren't crowded? As fuck. Yeah.
Sorry.
There's a ton of beaches that are not crowded. They're just not as nice as like the beaches in Mexico or the beaches in Brazil. You can find some hidden gems, like for example, in Santa Marta, like in Tirona. Those beaches are not crowded as you would say, but they're beautiful as well. They're nice, they're clean because it's a natural reserve, etc. But yeah, it's the touristy ones like in Cartagena. Those are going to be super crowded. Venus says, Andrew, do you like Medellin weather better than Southern California weather? Good question. Yes and no. I don't like the humidity here, but I like the consistency.
See, I don't view there as humidity here, but that's because I'm from Florida.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah, it's like 80% humidity over there.
So for me as a Floridian, this is ungodly wonderful.
Yeah, California has like no humidity, and it's a desert. So I liked California because even though there were seasons, they weren't like it was always just good weather, especially in Southern California. But Medellin, I appreciate the consistency. It's like always around 70, 75 degrees year round.
It is getting hotter though.
It's gotten hotter, yeah.
That's the
Finca Raíz is not good. It's not that it's not good. It's just not accurate. You can't rely on one site to give you all the information that you need. You need to do a lot more research.
Yeah, for example, I've been looking for years to find a bodega for my business. And
a storage unit. Like a warehouse?
Yeah, like a warehouse.
Oh, warehouse.
Sorry,
yeah.
not a storage unit. And, you know, I mean, I really only use Finca Raíz, but so many of the listings are old, outdated, and or it's, you know, like you try and find the address or, you know, that it's not where they say it is. I hate to say it, it's very Colombian in that sense where, you know, hey, this bodega in Medellin is available. Okay, where?
Yeah.
The address you put is a grocery store, you know, I mean, but no, it's not good. It's very Colombian. It's just not that good of information.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of like legwork, really. Elvis says, Andrew, will you ever travel to any Latin country like Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, and Mexico? Yeah, I've traveled not to all of those. I don't think I can go to Costa Rica. I can't go to any country that's owned by the U.S., like Panama. I can't go to Panama because it's owned by the U.S. I can't go to like Puerto Rico. It's part of the U.S. I can't go to Costa Rica, I think. Wherever the U.S. has presence, you know, and heavy influence, I can't go there. They'll turn me back.
But Mexico is all right?
I love going to Mexico.
Well, no,
yeah.
I love Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico is awesome. Yeah, I can go in and out. They don't like Colombians, basically, so I'm usually like 6 hours in a holding tank with no access to a phone or anything and interrogated by their what do you call it, immigration. But I've never been turned back.
When they instituted the rules like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I mean, with Colombians having to fill out paperwork to go.
Get in, yeah.
So when I took my wife and my cousin, I was like, you guys better fill this out right because I'm not flying back.
Yeah.
So after 10 days in Mexico, we were on the plane getting ready to leave. And they were like, we're on hold for a little bit. Didn't say why. All of a sudden, like there's a line of people. And they were deporting 20 Colombians or 20 or 30 Colombians that had just arrived. And they didn't either fill out their paperwork or
They didn't have anything, yeah.
So they put them on our flight. Dude, they took their shoelaces, their phones, and their passports so that they couldn't like run away. I mean, sorry, it's not funny, but it was like, because I was like, why is this dude not wearing shoes? And then I noticed, wait, none of them, because I was on the aisle. I was like, none of them have shoelaces. So it was really humorous to watch them bring in boxes of their phones, passports, and shoelaces.
Yeah, it's basically like you're in jail when they turn you back. Do you have any recommendations about one of the best hotels in Medellin where you can book a room with a private bathroom, shower, and how much would that cost per night? There's a lot of really good hotels right now. Like, for example, in Barrio Manila, you can look up Landmark Hotel. But there's a ton of hotels in Provenza now that are really nice and high end, like boutique hotels.
But are they quiet?
No, it wouldn't be as quiet there. You'd be better in Manila for sure. Like, for example, the Landmark. Look up Landmark Hotel. Great hotel. It's got a rooftop pool. You could get your own private bathroom and room. It's nice. It's nice. Yep. And it's new. People suck here too. No one's friendly or personable anymore. No family unit. Dang. Andres Arias, it's not that they don't like Colombians. It's because of the narco situation. Also that, and also they use it as a stepping stone, as we did in 1985. We got on a plane to Mexico and then crossed the border illegally. A lot of people are doing that. Thousands of people do that. So that's why they turn them back.
But it was also an agreement that the U.S. had with Mexico to make, and it was an actual agreement that they made from Mexico with the Colombian government. It wasn't like it wasn't that they just arbitrarily did it. They actually met with the Colombian government about it to make these rules. Yeah,
because they did have a problem. Personal question, how can you not have citizenship after 26 years? Just wondering. A lot of people ask me that. So, for example, my mom's been there 36 years, and she's still not a resident or a citizen because it's been in process of she's been in process of legalizing for that long. It's crazy. My dad, my sister, my grandmother, who's 92, got citizenship. Cousins, aunts, all got citizenship. And my mom's the one that still hasn't gotten it.
Wow.
And I hadn't gotten it by 2010. And when I went up in front of a judge and I went to like a weekend jail to clear up tickets, traffic tickets, I got caught by ICE police. It's like, that was a really costly weekend trip to jail.
How long were you in jail before they deported you?
So I did that weekend, which was Friday night till Sunday. And then from that Sunday until I landed in Bogota was like 2 months.
Really?
Yeah, because it takes a while to fill up a Colombian plane.
Oh, because do you remember a long time ago, 12 years ago, there was a call center in Poblado on 36. And all of them had been deported. All of them had been deported from the U.S. because they had all committed some level of crime. Mm-hmm. But like a couple of the guys spent a year in jail before they came. And so I just thought, that they just wanted that money some way, shape, or form before they sent everybody off. But man,
yeah,
I remember not knowing if I should be afraid of these people or not. I was like, everybody's a felon.
Oh, you meant hostels. Oh, look up Los Patios. Los Patios or El Viajero. Los Patios or El Viajero, those are the two that I know here in Manila that are nice. You'll be at Patrick's at 10 nice. Or Black Sheep, yeah. The Black Sheep Hostel. Not to be contradictory, but I thought bandeja was like the dish. But I eat lots of chicken anyway. So if you go to like a Menú del Día place, you can have corrientazo or like Menú del Día, which is your plate with the rice, the bean, or the rice, the chicken or whatever meat option, some salad, maybe like a plantain, and then a soup and a drink. And some of those will say, do you want the menú del día or do you want a bandeja? That's without the soup. They put beans on the dish. That's the difference between that there. I know it's kind of complicated.
I never eat soup. I don't understand eating soup when it's hot out.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
I heard that the Colombians are tired of Venezuelans. I guess as tired as Americans are of Mexicans, right? It's like the best comparison I can make. But so some people are tired of them. Some people love them. Some people embrace them. Some people don't. I think for the most part, Colombians have embraced them though. Like
For the most
part,
agree.
it's like they've opened their doors to Venezuela and given work permits. So they've really made it happen. Well, we've been live for 2 hours and 9 minutes. I know you've probably got to go pretty soon. Are you good?
My wife's at the family house.
Oh, so we could be on here 12 hours straight.
That's right. Let's go for a podcast record. No, dude, it's up to you, man.
We're good. We're good. Let's answer some more questions. Rohan says, how did your parents enter the U.S. then? Did they not have visas? No. We crossed the border, buddy. So my border crossing story was that when I was 4 years old, my sister was 2 years old. We were NyQuil'd and handed over to a crooked border patrol agent who put us under his seats, and he was paid off, and he drove us from Tijuana to Anaheim, and that's where I grew up. My kid years in Anaheim, behind Disneyland, the original Disneyland. So I grew up near Disneyland, but they call it Little Tijuana back there. So yeah, that was my border crossing. At the same time, my parents walked across for 2 days. They walked across the desert. That was crazy.
Sometimes it kills me when I hear people from the U.S. talk about, Mexicans as, bad. I mean, yeah, there are some bad.
Yeah, there are some bad.
There's plenty of bad that already live there. But, I'm like, man, to make that effort to get to the United States, shit, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's like someone worth. I guess there's something worth noting, but I'm probably the most conservative illegal alien you'll ever meet. I believe that the Constitution, the rules in place,
right,
they should be followed. If you're breaking them, yeah, there might be some sort of legal ways to get around, severe consequences. But rules are meant to be placed there to be followed, right? So yeah, I understand. I don't hold it against the United States. I don't feel, how do you say rancor? Rancor? I forgot.
Anger?
No, yeah, like an anger towards the United States, or hard feelings. I don't have hard feelings towards that because I broke the law and I was kicked out. Of course, that's completely fine. Yeah.
No, I'm laughing because I love it when tourists come here and then they get pissed off. Like if they, get deported or told to leave or whatever. And they're like, well, in the U.S., we let them in. I'm like, you're not in the U.S. I'm like,
yeah,
you're breaking the law. Shut up. Just get on your plane and say goodbye. Thank you. Come back in 2 years.
Elvis says that Laureles is the best neighborhood for guys that know how to behave well and do not mess with the ladies of the night. Any neighborhood is I'm not going to say any, but a lot of the neighborhoods in Medellin are just fine as long as you're not doing crazy shit. I mean, you're fine. You eat soup. Nice, Darwin. I'm just kidding.
That's awesome.
When it's hot and ice cream when it's cold. Okay, that's weird. That is weird. You probably put like ketchup in your ice cream too. Randy. Hi guys, great podcast. I'm from LA. Let's go, Los Angeles. And was in Medellin several times about 12 years ago. As I recall, the food was tasty, from street stands to mall foods to nice restaurants. So I'm confused. Yeah, I'm talking about if you're used to fine dining and high quality, for example, meats, high quality, high level of culinary, I guess, culture.
That's too much, though.
It's like you're not going to get that here.
No, but I mean, I don't know. I don't even think it's that. I mean, if you're an Applebee's guy, or it's still not Applebee's level. I mean, for me, what was that? Baby back ribs.
Oh, Chili's.
What might be? Yeah.
Chili's or Fridays.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not that. Most of the restaurants here are still not even up to that level, and I think that's pretty crappy in the scale of things. But yeah, I mean, just me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why you can travel anywhere in the world and find an Indian restaurant, Mexican restaurant, Thai restaurant, Italian restaurant, but you won't find a Colombian restaurant ever because it's just not high quality food, right? It's not high quality recipes. It's more like I always tell people the main ingredients in Colombian food are salt and nostalgia. Literally, those are like people love their food. Oh, I love arepas because, yeah, you love the way your mom made it. It makes you
Right.
remember of your country. You like to put cheese in your chocolate because you did it during Christmas time. Like, that's what it is for me, right? It's
Right.
like I remember these things.
Growing up.
Yeah, so it's nostalgic, but it's not like, people around the world are going to, get in line for it. Hey, let's go. Kentucky Fried. Thank you for the $4.99. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a great night. Let's see. Andres says a representative of Colombia government stayed with us in Jersey. She did a study of the Colombian population living in the U.S. Relust? Maybe about regulation, immigration is a loss because of the loss of human capital. Okay.
I'm not sure.
I kind of understand, meaning that when people leave a country, and that happens in smaller countries a lot. For example, Joel, he was born in English Guyana.
Right.
And he says that they lose a lot of capital, human capital,
Right.
because their smartest people leave that country to go work in
Right.
other countries. So they lose. So that does make sense. Yeah.
No. Never would have thought of it that way. I've never. What is? I just saw
I've
something
never
about
heard
IQ.
I've never heard of an American getting deported. Yeah, I've met two friends here. I had two friends that got deported from Colombia.
I knew a guy that whether it's FBI or whatever, some agency came and got him.
I remember that. Yeah.
So yeah,
We won't mention no names.
But yeah, I just even had a Canadian guy, friend of mine, that was here 3 years illegal, and he was broke, but he didn't know what to do. So I was like, dude, just go talk to your embassy, and they worked out a deal, but to deport him, but he still had to pay to leave.
Yeah.
He had to pay $2 million. I'm like, the
Wow.
dude doesn't have any money.
Elvis, I'm a Galaxy fan. I grew up watching the Galaxy when they first came in. Julian says, but it was a blessing being deported because you are doing awesome in Colombia. Now you're making dollars without being in the U.S. I think that's like the American dream, right? Make dollars, spend pesos.
See, I'm missing out on the dream.
Makes sense. Dual language content is kind of alienating if you don't speak. Yeah, if you start making content in a different language, apart from where you started, it screws with the algorithm because it doesn't know where to push you. So your channel goes downhill.
No.
Elvis says, Chris and Andrew, will USA ever eliminate the visa requirements for Colombians?
No.
Otherwise, there will be no
chance.
Colombians in Colombia.
Dude, I've had friends of mine, and it's really funny. They'll pull me to the side and they're like, "Hey, gringo, I wanna work. I wanna go to the U.S. and work illegally." And I'm like, I wouldn't suggest it, but if you're going to, I was like, what source? How are you going to make money? Oh, construction. I'm like, dude, there's plenty of people doing construction.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend of mine he's a mariachi, and he sounds just like Vicente Fernandez, and he's from Bogota. I don't know how he got to the U.S., whether it was legal or not. I really don't. But this guy is popular because he sounds like the most famous mariachi singer in the world, or in the past.
Yeah.
So this guy's out making, $200, $300, $400 a day cash, and he bought himself a 5.0 Mustang, nice clothes. And so all of my Tejo friends see this and they're like, gringo,
I
want to move there. And I'm like, can you sing?
Can you?
I'm like,
What's your talent?
right. If you can sing like him, because they'll say, and dude, his name is Ainer. But I'm like, he's like, well, look at Ainer. And I'm like, look at Ainer.
Yeah.
He can sing.
Yeah.
You can't sing.
You're
So
gonna
what are
be
you going to
bussing
do?
dishes. You're gonna be bussing dishes and working your way up there in the kitchen, basically.
Right. I'm like, you're going to work 3 jobs, and is that what you want? I was like, I always say, if I'm going to be poor, I would rather be poor living in Colombia than being poor and living in the U.S.
That's interesting.
For me.
Yeah.
Now maybe.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to be poor in Colombia though.
Well,
because if you're poor in the U.S., at least you get government help. Here, they don't get shit.
Well, I guess I see. It's hard to think of what for me is poor.
It's poor, yeah.
Because I look at people, some of my friends, and think, they make the minimum, but there's 2 people, 3 people living off of that. For me, that's poor.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I should think of destitute, with absolutely nothing. I guess
Yeah.
if I had absolutely nothing, yes, I would
Yeah.
prefer to be in the U.S. But if I had some way of working,
Yeah. And
You
you're
know.
only making minimum wage in the U.S. as opposed to the Colombia.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. But
I'd rather be able to just go to the tienda and hang out at night if I drank, have a beer. Because, dude, I know thousands of people who that's what their life is. Or they go to the Tejo court.
yeah. Yeah, but I guess the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Those people look at people in the U.S. and they're like, man, I wish I had that. But, in the U.S., it's just a different lifestyle. JD, it's impressive, but you have to follow the rules. Yeah, absolutely. Andres, you grew up Mexican. I basically did. There's a lot of Mexicans in Southern California. Love Mexican people, and Mexican food is my favorite of all time. Like, for me, like, I could live off Mexican food forever.
Dude, if I
So
ever
good.
left Colombia, I think Mexico City would have to be the next stop because it's inexpensive and, oh my God, the food is so good. I love it. I'd rather be poor
Yeah, I'd rather be poor in the U.S. Okay. B Hill says the problem is that the U.S. is cold AF. Sucks to be poor here. Yeah. Yeah, but like I guess like homeless. Yeah. But again, I think you get a lot more help from government if you're like literally like homeless or disabled and homeless or than here. I'd rather be that in the U.S. than here. I'd rather not be at all. I've never even thought about it. I'm like, where can I be a bum? But yeah,
I don't know. But I see, like, for me in the U.S., like, I feel like you need a car. I mean,
even homeless people have cars.
well, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
transportation isn't the same in the U.S.
As it is here, yeah.
As it is here.
Yeah, true. T-Mac, thank you for the $9.99, T-Mac. Appreciate it. What is your estimate on the percentage of U.S. military veterans in Medellin? They have the clinic in Sabaneta that bills the VA for medical care. Just for the expats that you know. Yeah, I know many veterans here. You probably know.
I know a few, but you would definitely know more than
I know a lot because they go to the same bars that I go to. They go to Patrick's, they go to Iway, and I meet.
Right.
I mean, literally, I can't even count how many veterans I know here. So yeah, there's a lot.
And Proc and Rhino,
Yeah.
the bar that's owned by, is it both of them are veterans, or
Yeah,
at least one of
they
them?
used to. They sold it to another guy now. But yeah, that
is
doesn't
that why they
exist.
changed that name to the
Yeah.
horrible?
Yeah, what is it?
I don't even know.
Gringo Loco.
Yeah, I was like, what a terrible name for a bar.
I mean, but I could understand if it's because it's in Parquilleras, so it's like more of a party vibe. Gringo Loco could be good for marketing, I guess. Venus, love your show, Andrew. You're helping people understand Colombia. We appreciate it. I appreciate you, my guy. Thank you.
Hang on. Who was it? Derwin. Go on the internet. Look at Tejo in Medellin on Instagram or YouTube.
Yeah,
and
that's
can
how
see
you
videos
find him.
on it.
That's how you find him. Tejo in Medellin in Instagram, and you can see what the sport is and how it's played. It's really fun. I love Tejo. I think it's as I'm getting older, I'm like I can't really use my entire body anymore.
He
tough
told
on
me
the shoulder though.
He told me the last time he came out, he's like, when I retire from basketball, I'm coming out to play Tejo.
I just wish there was like a Tejo core here. We should build one.
Dude, I have been looking for years. In fact, I mean, just guys, if you're coming here to do business, the math does not lie. Okay. I mean, dude, I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, well, let's do this. I've been working at a Tejo court here for 8 years. Mm-hmm. I know how many people play Tejo in this area or in this city on a weekly basis. I count them. And, so you need 7 to 10 million pesos a month for the same amount of space that you have in Envigado. So, how many people are you really going to have to be able to pay
to turn it over?
Yeah. And, you can charge tourists more money, but, you need a bar and you need a restaurant. And Chris is not going to run a bar and restaurant because I've already done that and I don't ever want to do it again. But, guys, just when you come here, do the math. Don't think this will work because I'm going to do it. The numbers do not lie. So don't just go, throw the numbers away and think, this is going to work because I want it to.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Oh, going back to T-Mac. Sorry, T-Mac. I didn't give you an exact number or percentage just because I don't know. But I would say out of let's say 10 foreigners that I know here, at least 2 will be veterans, at least that I know of.
Wow.
That's like 20%. And
a
that's
lot.
just like the pure foreigner from the United States, not from obviously the U.S. veterans. So yeah, and it's because I hang out with mostly middle-aged people at the bar, and those friends, I would say 2 out of every 10. But for example, my other friends that are younger, most of them are digital nomads, et cetera, not military veterans.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Let's see. Julian, Chris, what made you build your tour company, changing from a restaurant business? Both are so different.
The biggest thing with the restaurant is back then I knew that it was never going to be what I wanted it to be. Meaning, even back then, like I had a guy offer me to invest in my restaurant. He was going to give me $3,000 a month. That was a lot of money back then. Well, it's still a lot of money. But, I was like, even if I doubled the space of my restaurant, that didn't mean I was going to double or triple my clientele. So I just realized, through the numbers that it wasn't going to work in the way that I had hoped because I was 5 years, 6 years ahead of my time. If I did it now, yeah, it'd be different. But, back then, yeah, Andrew said it was expensive, but, for tourists traveling around, it wasn't very expensive. I was selling a 200-gram burger, potato chips, and a drink for 15 mil.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
you weren't making money. Now, I never lost money. I broke even. But with the tour, I have no cost. I pay the court their money. Oops, sorry. I pay the court their hourly money, and I make my money.
Yeah.
And when I'm done, I go home. So I don't have to worry about electricity. I don't have to worry about anything else.
Your overhead's low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an hourly rate, so I pocket the rest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. B Hill asks, what's the restaurant's name? No, he doesn't own the restaurant anymore. It was called the Flip Flop Sandwich Shop. Now his business name is Tejo in Medellin.
Yep.
Tejo in Medellin, and that's on Instagram or Facebook. Check it out. What's up, Zanaya? Thank you so much. Probably not. You're talking about love your show, amigo. Big hello from India. Welcome. If you ever travel here, drop by and say hi. I will travel to India. I'm vegan. I love Indian food, and I can't wait to go and try it out. I have Indian friends that live here, and they obviously hype it up and say that it's there's a lot of like poverty and parts that you're going to be very impressed or shocked with. And then there's also some really great things. So definitely have to go check it out. Hello, are there any good tech jobs in Colombia? Most talented people that work in tech here get jobs in the U.S. That's just a fact. If you want to come down and live in Medellin, get a remote job that pays you in dollars. You will be better off financially and security-wise with your job.
Mike.
Chris, you're a Liverpool FC fan.
Yes, I am.
I remember. Yes, he is.
But I'm first a Corinthians fan out of Brazil.
Yeah.
I have a
Corinthians tattoo.
crap. Can't even
There
see
it is.
But anyway, that's number one.
Dang,
But
that's
it's hard
hardcore.
it's hard to watch them on TV here, so it's easier to watch Liverpool. But I do love Liverpool. Yeah, the next one's something about a brick and mortar.
Michael Sand says, if you did open a brick and mortar business now, any idea what that length of the typical lease would be?
Here, usually it's by the year. But, you can ask for whatever you want. What you have to be very clear about is how you get out of a lease here, because there's so many businesses come and go here. Between the two of us, can't even imagine how many businesses we've seen open up and then 3 months, 4 months
done.
later, they're gone.
Yeah.
So really, it just comes down to what can you do to get out of that lease? Because I think if I set up my own Tejo court, I'd want a minimum of 2 years.
Yeah.
But, if after 6 months it wasn't going to work, I need to make sure that
you can
my
get out.
lawyer is going to be able to get me out of it. So I don't think the term of the lease or the length of it is very important. It's just your ability to get out of it.
Right.
Because I can't just fly back home and leave them high and dry.
Right.
I don't plan on going anywhere.
Yeah. Elvis, when you play Tejo, if the thing you throw explodes, you win. So you get points, and that's how you win, by accumulating points. But yeah, the explosions are part of winning.
Yes. The more you explode, the better opportunity you have to win.
Yep, exactly. Taco, damn, you guys are still on. Yeah, we're going for a personal record. This is a record already. This is the longest live stream I've done. But it's been really fun. I can never be vegan because I like to comer carne asada and seafood. I get you, Elvis. It's not for everybody. It's hard. I used to love eating meat. I was vegan at 17 for the first time. Then went back to eating meat. Then off, on, off, on. Now I'm just on forever. It's just I don't need to. But yeah, I mean, it's just a personal preference. It's not even health related.
I'm curious, just based on what you said about being vegan is hard. I find that living in Colombia, you've got to be a particular kind of person to make it last. Like, I don't think this isn't for everybody.
What, veganism?
No. Living in Colombia.
Oh, living in Colombia.
I'm just relating what you said. Being a vegan is difficult.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think a lot of people come down here thinking that living here is relatively easy. And
yeah, it's not. I don't think.
It's a lifestyle, and you have to be remotely disciplined in your lifestyle to make it here. And I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration when they're like, oh, well, it's cheap, it's this, it's that. Well, yeah, it is, but
yeah, and
can you handle that?
Can you handle that? Yeah, I've had many friends that have come down here, or people that I've met and became friends with that were down here, and they couldn't make it here for a couple of reasons. One is that they think in dollars instead of pesos, so they're like, oh, that's only that much money? Okay, I'll buy it and spend it and do whatever, and then they run out of money.
Yep.
Or two, they just don't assimilate, right? They try to live like an American culture in a country that is not America, and sometimes that gets hard. There's a lot of things. There are culture clashes that you've got to take into account, that and things that no matter how much you bitch and whine about it, they're not going to change.
They are not.
They're not going to change.
No.
Yeah. I just ate a fat steak. That's what she said.
Wouldn't that be a tube steak?
Este stream es un parche parcero. And we don't even have beers. I usually have a beer when I have here, but I don't keep beers at home, so I didn't even have any. I'm like, whatever, I don't need a beer today. Forgive me, but I might get a second opinion beyond a vegan's opinion of the local meats. Yeah, but remember, I've been vegan for 4 years, and I've lived here for 13, so and I know about it.
I eat it all the time, and no, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, just get on any gringo group, Facebook group, and you'll find out.
Yes, we're very picky. But yeah, there is a page called Food in Medellin, which I started, but I had to give up. I couldn't handle it anymore. But thanks to James for keeping it alive. But yeah, food here, steak here. No, it's not that good.
Let's see. Not a place for the weak. Yeah, Medellin is not a place for the weak. Yeah, and the impatient and the broke. I mean, if you're like literally living on, $500 a month, this is not the place. You could probably get away with that in some other countries, but not here. And it's going to get even more expensive, I think, as the years progress. Buddha asks, is the question about the estrato you live in just social, or is it also used to screen for robberies and such? What do you think?
I don't think. Colombians love to know financial things about you.
Yeah, it's weird. It was a culture clash for me when I first got here, that people ask you, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, what do you do for a living? How much do you pay in rent? I mean, when I had my restaurant, I can't tell you how many people asked me, how much is your rent? I mean, they weren't looking to rob me. I mean, but
they're like generally curious.
Yeah. To see, I mean, maybe they think we're being overpriced. I don't know, but I have never had anybody, ask me like too personal. And if it was, or if I felt it was, I just wouldn't answer. I would be like, well, I would pretend that I can't speak anything and be like, I don't understand. What? And then they eventually just stop asking. But I don't think it would be to rob you. It's just more of a genuine curiosity.
Yeah. So the pre-screening, it's more of a social pre-screening. Like when you ask someone what neighborhood they live in, you already know what estrato they are. You generally know what kind of job they might have and how much money they're making. So all of this goes into your head when someone says, "Oh, I'm from this neighborhood." But it's not for pre-screening like that. They're going to rob you because, generally, selfie time. Generally, people are good here. There are more good people in Colombia than there are bad. Just those few bad people make the news, right? And that's what people see generally. So yeah, Andrew. Guys, every second person here in India is vegetarian, but not vegan. And talking of cheap, $1 gets you breakfast, lunch, and dinner in some areas. Holy cow!
Yeah, dude.
Like literally a holy cow.
Literally. I have a friend of mine that just left Medellin and he's in Thailand. And I mean, dude, just the pricing of food there. I'm like, I would consider that.
Yeah.
Just over there, it's just so cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, even making this place look expensive.
Expensive, yeah. Elvis, Andrew, what a vegan eats for desayuno, almuerzo, y cena? I usually skip breakfast. I'm not hungry in the morning. I do coffee in the morning and water. And then for lunch, it's usually like there's a lot of vegan options here now. Now there's a lot of vegan options. But let's say I go to like the Menú del Día place that's across the co-working space that I go to. That it's like 14,000 pesos for soup, and then your dry food plate or whatever, which is the rice, a little salad, and then they'll usually have like a garbanzo patty or like a falafel type thing, and then a natural juice like lulo or blackberry juice or whatever.
I love lulo.
Yeah, lulo. I love all the juices here. Like what someone had mentioned the fruit here. Oh man, the natural juices. I think there's a reason why Colombians aren't fat like Americans or Mexicans, because they don't eat they don't have a ton of sodas here. Like when you go to Mexico or the US, it's like you have every flavor and color of soda. Here it's just Coca-Cola or Pepsi and basic or Colombiana, and that's about it. But most people for lunch, they'll drink a natural fruit drink, and a lot of the times it's zero sugar in it.
Yeah.
Andrew, I just answered that. Chris, do you provide earmuffs for Tejo?
No. Listen, one of the beauties of being in Colombia, there's no insurance. You're not going to sue somebody over something silly like that. So no, it's loud. If you, I always tell people if they get hurt, I'll take you to the hospital, but you're paying for it.
I'll drop you off.
Yeah.
I'll pay for
I'll
the
just
Uber.
roll you out of the car as you're driving by. But no, definitely not.
Yeah. What's up, Warren? Trying to get some lulo Kurua. Uchua. Yeah, I love uchuas as well.
I do too, but man, the acid
They're
really F's with my
acidic,
mouth.
Yeah,
like,
they're acidic.
It's kind of like when you used to eat Captain Crunch.
Oh yeah.
And just how
morning.
the roof of your mouth would get all torn up.
Yeah.
Dude, I regret eating uchuas after. Every time I eat them.
Yeah, because
the next day I'm just
acid.
like, oh God.
Yeah. What about I guess one of the final questions for Chris is this is two questions. One question is, what was the hardest part about living in Medellin, or maybe currently is the hardest thing about living in Medellin? Or if you don't have anything that's hard right now, what was it when you first got here?
Speaking
the
Spanish.
language.
Yeah, the language by far was the hardest thing for me because, all my friends were foreign. All my employees spoke English. My wife speaks English, speaks and spoke English. The circle that I had, everybody spoke English. Right. So that was the hardest part because, if you don't speak Spanish, then no matter what you really want out of your life here, it's only going to go to a certain point.
Right.
And then you're not going to go any further. And honestly, for me, I was like, I don't need to really learn how to speak Spanish until I started playing Tejo and I started traveling. And I would sit at a tournament and people would come up and try and talk to me. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Now you got to speak the language.
Right. And so for me, say 7 years ago, I went to Bucaramanga to play in my first tournament outside of Antioquia. Because everybody in Antioquia knew, don't bother trying to talk to me because I didn't speak Spanish. So that was my first time. And man, everybody wanted to come and talk to me and meet me because being the only gringo, oh my God. So I just said, all right, you're going to have to start trying.
Yeah.
And, here I sit 8 years later and I'm not perfect, but you know,
But you can have
I have conversations,
Yeah.
and people are, you know, everybody's like, "Oh, you're so nice or formal," blah 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 blah. So that was by far the hardest thing.
Wow. Yeah.
And patience, as you brought
Patience
up earlier.
and like being patient for
Just
things?
being patient in general, because no matter what, you want things to be like home. And, you know, I mean, trying to get service. Remember, go back 7 years ago. Dude, you needed to order your check 20 minutes before you wanted to leave because they just wouldn't bring it
Yeah.
to you. Getting change. You know, just,
I still don't have a level of patience for that kind of
Right.
stuff. Like, for example, restaurants. When I go to a restaurant, I literally, even if it's a nice restaurant, I get up from the table and go to the cash register and pay. I don't have pay. I can't wait to like, hey, can I get the check? And then
Right.
she forgets or doesn't do it. And then, oh, can I get that? No, I get up and go pay. I'm like,
Right.
all right, I'm ready to pay. And then they have to give me the check right there. But that's just one of the things that I haven't been able to give up.
Right.
My
No,
patience on that.
there are definitely some things. I mean, I just whatever. I mean, traveling, like I want to fight every time I'm in Bogota in a taxi, because you know they treat me like a tourist, and you know, I mean, they want to overcharge you and everything, and you're just like, you know, dude, I've lived here a long ass time. You know, I'd rather fight you than give you an extra $2 million because you think I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, yeah. Warren Kenner says that there are a few immersion schools there. I have one picked out. Yeah, my friend Christian owns Blink Spanish in Barrio Manila, and that one has really good reviews. People, that one's always full. Blink Spanish.
It is. They play Tejo twice a month. Not with me.
There's another Tejo?
No, they play in Envigado. He takes them out.
Oh, wow. Okay. I did not know that.
They cut me out.
Dang. Warren Kenner, you got to comprehend the language. If I had to choose between speaking and comprehending, I choose to understand every time. Yeah. Understanding. Yeah. And I think the more you practice, the more you'll be able to speak too. So the more you comprehend, the more you practice, the more the speaking comes around. Ruben, what's up, Ruben Gupta? Why are Colombians so interested in financial status more so than in the U.S. or other developed countries? I don't understand. I don't know why, but the intentions are not bad. I don't think like in the U.S. it's considered rude to ask someone how much they make or what they do for a living upon just meeting them. In Colombia, it's not viewed as rude. It's viewed as like small talk, conversation.
And honestly, I think that's a lot of it with Colombians talking to foreigners. I mean, what experiences do we have that are typically have if you're a tourist or new to town?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you have to talk about?
Yeah. Sorry, Randy. Randy, I missed your message. I remember sushi was disgusting in Colombia. I don't remember eating steak. I'm a foodie in LA and enjoyed food in Colombia, but I was having fun, tons of fun. So maybe food was over. Yeah, a lot of people have that same experience. Don't come here expecting world-class food. People don't travel to Colombia for that. Come here for world-class booty. That's about it.
Wait, did you say that or did somebody write that?
No, I said that.
Okay.
I came up with that. Ruben, we just answered that. Venus, do I need to bring my own curry and spices to Medellin? I have friends that do bring their own stuff. You can get general spices like, oregano, rosemary, thyme, all that stuff here. But for example, like your favorite curry is probably not going to be sold here.
Bring it.
Bring it over, yeah. Anand says there's a good ají chili mix with every meal. Yeah, ají. I love ají. It's spicy. It's like it's good. But sometimes you just want like Tabasco sauce or something. And now, before in the past, there was no like hot sauces. Now there's hot sauces in every restaurant. It's awesome.
It's disheartening because the guys that ran Poblanos, that changed to Brije, they just closed.
They closed Brije?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
But my buddy, one of the owners, he was the main chef. Dude, he could make a hot sauce. He had like chocolate habanero. He even had a Carolina Reaper sauce. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's not something that most people are going to eat, but oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would look forward to going to Poblanos.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like right here, when it was right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it was a block from me. So I'd go to Smart Fit on the way back. I actually dated one of the waitresses there because I went so much that I got to know her. And literally after like 20 times of me asking her to go out. She finally went out, and we hung out for a while. She was great. She was awesome.
You sure you don't have another child?
No. No, she was great. She was great, but it didn't work out with her. Yeah, let's see. T-Mac says, I make sure that I pay for pricey things using a credit card. I had a hassle returning defective products. I just threatened to cancel the transaction, and the store always makes exceptions. Yeah, buying things with credit cards a lot better, because here, Colombia, some places, their return policy is iffy.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about this before. For me, even still, if I buy something, I own it. In my brain, I own it. You can maybe change it, but in general, if you buy something here, you own it. Don't try and bring it back.
Yeah. Does Colombia have ketchup with vinegar?
No. I said you're going to miss the fight.
Oh, you're going to miss the fight? What time is it? 8:46, yeah. Same with weird mustard. Yeah, I don't know about the ketchup. I'm not a big ketchup eater.
I do, but there's no ketchup with vinegar.
Really?
Yeah. That doesn't.
Wait, doesn't ketchup have vinegar in it?
Well,
Like
I was gonna say, if we're talking about it being made, well, yeah, there's a little bit in it, but I mean, in general, if you're talking about mixing regular already made ketchup with vinegar, no, that's not a thing.
Yeah, so the cheap ketchup that you could find, like the local ketchup, is different, but you can also buy a Heinz 57 in the grocery store. I've seen at like Carulla. Like, and I think, if I recall correctly, Price Mart had it for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And A1.
Yeah.
Ketchup and
A1, yeah,
A1
A1 and ketchup, yeah.
They do have Heinz here. You can get it.
Yeah, so you're fine. All right, yeah, I think we've gone really long, 2 hours and 45 minutes, guys. My defective TV from Jumbo only lasted 6 hours, so I made sure I wasn't going to own the thing. Yeah, true, T-Mac. Guys, well, I really appreciate you guys being here and hanging out and asking questions. I think this makes for really good content. Obviously, my intention with the channel is to promote Colombia, not forget about the bad stuff, but not make it the main focus, because there are bad things here. But as you've seen, every guest that I have on here lives an amazing, fulfilling life. They're doing something within the community. They are either married or in long-term relationships. They're not here for unscrupulous things. They are here for long-term, and life can be really great here, but it's really depends on you, right?
Absolutely. It's great, but you got to be willing to adapt to it.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it what you want it to be. It's going to be what it is.
Yeah. And finally, Chris, how can people find you again?
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Tejo in Medellin. That's it. You can find me there. You can find out about it. And if anybody here is an insurance broker in Florida or in the U.S., I don't care about Florida, please write to me on one of my social medias, because I can't open Tejo in the United States because I cannot find insurance to do it.
Wow. I did not know that. That's interesting. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next week. Again, I'm doing 2 lives a week, so it's probably going to be either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then the for sure one on Saturday is set as well. So I'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.